I will call the public meeting to order. My apologies, our non-public ran over. Tonight's the night that we re-nominate all of our teachers and our administrative staff, so we had a lot of deep discussion and good discussion, but it went a little bit longer than anticipated, so our apologies to all the parents and the students who are here who are ready for a presentation, and we're really excited for your presentation. We just have to say the Pledge of Allegiance first. Sir, flag. Thank you. Dr. Beth, do you want to lead us in the pledge, please?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Oh, hold on. Power. Yep, power. I turned everybody's mics off.
Hello, welcome to Carpenter School. I had a little speech prepared, but I've got some very patient first graders behind me that are excited to come out here, but I did just want to thank you for being here tonight in our newly renovated cafeteria. It's very, very exciting for us. As you know, a little something happened here May 9th of last year, and things have been, it's been an adventure. Every day an adventure, but since March we've been back in the cafeteria. We're going out to specials, and what do we think? Pretty amazing? Yes. And I just wanted to say publicly to everybody, to the board, thank you for your support. To our families, your patience with all of the changes and last minute procedural. We're figuring it out as we go. And especially our staff, our teachers, the custodial staff, they've been amazing throughout all of this. So we've got these beautiful fixtures and things are really feeling a lot lighter on the whole around here. We're excited for some just more fun. Spring is here. So without further ado, our first graders have been practicing their reading. They are doing a fantastic job. One of the activities that they do is they read decodable readers theater. And so I have 3 short skits. The first one will be by 4 students in Mrs. Gilpatrick's class. So I'm going to pass the mic over.
Hi, my name is Stacy Gilpatrick, and I have Taylor, Wyatt, Emma, and Ryan, and we're going to read The Snake Escape.
Pete was at the pet shop with Mom and Dad. The gal at the shop let them see and pet a snake. It was fun for Pete, but Dad did not like it at all.
Yuck, I dislike any reptile.
Pete gave the girl the snake so she could put it back. Just as she went to put the snake in the box, she had to help a boy and put the snake down too fast. The snake did not go into the box and slid as it was going to escape. The snake slid into an open bag that Mom had with her. When it was time to go home, no one saw the snake in the bag. The next day, as they sat and ate, Pete could see a shape in the bag. He went close to look.
I spy a snake. I think the snake from the shop came home in your bag. I hope that is a joke.
Dad had a look of panic in his eyes. He got up from his chair and ran with a yell.
Snake escape! It is just a snake. It was cute when we were at the shop, but I did not expect to see it in my home.
Let us go inspect it. They went back inside. Dad was timid, but he went in too. Mom and Pete had a look inside the bag. The snake was still in there. What are we going to do? We can get rid of it outside. I do not think it has the skill to live outside. That is not the humane thing to do. Why not ask the vet? She will help us. We have a snake in our home. I see, said the vet. What does it look like? It is long and thin with a band of red, black, and white. It is just a milk snake. It will not bite you, said the vet. I will come over and I will come over now to help get the snake back to the shop. The vet came with a net and a bag. First, she held up the snake for them to see. Dad snuck out. I do not want him to go. Can he live with us? No, Dad would not like that. Pete, where is your dad? Said the vet. Pete went to look for Dad. Mom, come and see. Dad had found the snake in the bathtub. Mom and Pete had a look and a smile at Dad in the tub. You can come out now, Dad. The snake is going back to the shop.
Hi, I'm Paula Bichard, and this is Maddie, and Nima, and Brazil, and Landon, and we're going to present to you The Magic Man.
This is the grand magic legend, the Magic Man. He has a fancy top hat, a black cape, and a big ring with a red gem.
He did magic on stages for a long time, but was not at his best now. Not a lot of people came to witness him do his magic, but the Magic Man will still try to be good at it.
Today he was on stage and was going to do a classic magic trick. He had a white rabbit. Can you see the rabbit? They all gave a nod. He went to drape a linen cloth over the rabbit. Now you see it, and now you do not.
Then there was a huge bang, a puff of smoke. With a lift of the linen cloth, the Magic Man said,
Presto! The people did not clap. The Magic Man had to look down. No, the rabbit was still there on the desk. With a hop and a jump, it went off. That did not go well. I will try a new trick. Next, they had a kid walk onto the stage. I invite you to pick one from the deck, and I will tell you what it is.
The kid held it close and did not let the Magic Man see it.
Is it an 8? No, said the kid. Is it a 9?
No, the kid said.
It must be the ace. It was not the ace. I quit. The kid went off the stage and sat down. I will make the mice in this cage fly in the sky.
But when he gave the blanket a tug to get it off their cage, the mice were still inside it.
Then there was a big yell. Run, mice! The white mice had run off the stage. All the people ran. It was a gigantic mess. Stop! Be still! This isn't over. I can do a new trick. It was too late. The place was empty.
The magic man sat on the stage to think. I do not think I can have a success with my magic again. No one will want to see this epic flop.
Just then, a kid came back inside with his mom. You cannot stop your magic. It was so funny, said the kid. The magic man was in shock. Did you say it was funny? You like my bogus magic? The boy said, yes, that's what made it so funny.
The magic man did not expect this.
I can still do my magic just to be funny. With that, the magic man was happy again.
Hi, I'm Regina Sampt, and this is Charlotte, Bodie, Sinead, and Auden, and they are going to be reading for you Patch in the Park.
Pam was with her dog, Patch, at the park. Look, I see a ball. We can use it to play fetch. Patch, I will hit the ball with my bat, and you have to catch it and bring it back. The ball went up into the sky and over Patch. It went into a sandbox where there was a boy at play with a truck. Patch ran to get to the sandbox to get the ball, but the mom got the ball and put it in the trash can. Then Patch ran to the trash can to get the ball, but a man put the trash into his truck. The truck went off. Patch ran next to the truck to try and get the ball. When the truck was at a standstill, the man got out. The ball fell out of the back of the truck. It went down the hill and Patch ran to get it. There was a big ditch at the end of the hill. The ball went into the ditch, and Patch did also. There was thick black mud all over him. Patch got the ball and ran back to the park. He could not see Pam. Where was he? Where was Pam? Patch was frantic. Patch was at a spot in the park that had thick green grass. There was a big match on the green grass, and Patch was not where he should be. A man went to kick the ball. It hit Patch on the leg, and then it went into the net. Good play, Patch! We win, said the men. Then the men held Patch up in the sky. Patch got it in the net for us. Patch is our hero. They went off the thick grass and back into the park. They saw Pam. They could see that she was sad to have lost Patch. Where's my dog? The men put Patch down, and he ran up to Pam. He put the ball by her leg. Patch, there you are. Where did you go?
Pam bent down to give Patch a big hug. Boy, I am glad you are back, but we will have to give you a good bath.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first graders. These are first graders that just read to you. So I'm going to have them just walk in front. They couldn't decide who they were performing for tonight. So they're going to just come and give a bow to our school board members. Right on up.
Right over here.
And then I should probably turn around and bow to our families.
Bow to your parents.
Thank you. And now it's time for PJs and bedtime.
Thank you. Thank you, Carpenter first graders.
Thank you, patient parents and siblings. You did amazing. I know.
All right, so we'll continue with our agenda tonight, but thank you to the Carpenter School first graders for those wonderful stories. Just as a recap, so we called to order at 6 o'clock. We had our board reorganization. I was selected chair. Kirsten Burke was selected vice chair. We read our proposed assignment for board committees. Board members will provide me feedback on those assignments if they have any questions, concerns, or want to make a request. We read our school board member ethics and signed that. We appointed Michelle Capone as the school district clerk and reappointed Scott Isabel as treasurer, went into non-public, and we came back into public pledge of allegiance in the presentation you just received. So we are now on to agenda review. I have one item to add, which is under our non-public for this evening, personnel as the subsection C. You have 2 additions? Okay.
I need to add an additional crowd.
Oh, here, sorry. read into this.
Thank you. I have 2 additions to the agenda. I need to add one additional crowdfunding request that is in your packet right after the original crowdfunding request, which is G under Superintendent's Report. So there will actually be 2 crowdfunding requests at that agenda item. And then I request to add another item at the end of the report, so it would be section I, and that will be Kingswood Summer Theater Camp. And that proposal is in your packet. Thank you.
Are there any other additions or requests? Seeing none, we'll move on to the acceptance of minutes. First set of meeting minutes is the March 2nd, 2026 Buildings and Maintenance Committee meeting minutes. And members present were Dr. Jim Manning, Kirsten Burke, Kayla Hewitt, and Nate Williams. So would someone want to make a motion who was present at the meeting?
I'll second.
So motion by Kirsten Burke to approve the minutes as presented, seconded by Dr. Jim. Do you have any edits here?
I do have an edit. So where it says that the district operates 38 vehicles for students, and then it lists the amount of vehicles, they don't add up. So I just wanted to add a line in there and have it say that the district operates 38 active vehicles on a rotating schedule, because we did talk about that, just so that people understand
that we're not using every single bus and they're on a rotating schedule.
Is that edit clear?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
If that's okay with you, Dr. Jim and Nate? Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll vote on the minutes with Kirsten's requested edit. Kathy, if you call the roll of the board of the committee members.
Kirsten? Yes. Dr. Jim?
Yep.
Nate?
Yes.
So motion passes 3-0. Kayla was on the committee, but she's no longer on the board. So we'll move on to the March 9th school board meeting minutes. I had one edit, and my one edit is on page 1 where it says dining room. It said the group moved from the dining room to the library. If you wanted to strike dining room and change that to cafeteria. That's okay with everyone else. I know it's benign, but I feel like it's more accurate.
No, we're just impressed that you remember the room.
Are there any other requested edits? Seeing none, could there be a motion to approve the minutes with the suggested edit?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mary, seconded by Nate. Kathy, and is the edit clear? Thank you. When you're ready, if you could please call the roll.
Tom?
Yes.
Kirsten? Yes. Dana?
Yes.
Dr. Jim?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Dr. Beth?
Yes.
Danielle?
Yes.
Nate?
Yes.
Brody?
Aye. All right, and our last set of meeting minutes is the March 16th Academic Affairs Committee meeting. Those in attendance were Mary Shilriff, Danielle Van Dusen, Tom Bickford, and Dr. Beth Scheckler. So is there any edits or a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Beth, seconded by Tom Bickford. Is there any discussion? None. Kathy, if you call the roll once you're ready, please.
Tom?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Dr. Beth?
Yes.
Danielle?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, and tonight's manifest being signed by Mary Shilriff, Dr. Beth Scheckler, and Daniel Van Dusen in the amount of $4,987,955.58. So is there a motion to approve the manifest as presented?
So moved.
I'll second. Yeah, I'll second. Moved by Mary, seconded by me, and does everyone who needs to sign the manifest, or is it?
Oh, you have, okay.
If anyone wants to start signing it, feel free. So Mary, if you want to sign it now, feel free to pass it to maybe others who might want to sign it. Okay. Kathy, if you call the roll once you're ready, please.
Tom?
Yes.
Kirsten? Yes. Dana?
I abstain from this, please.
Dr. Jim?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Dr. Beth?
Yes.
Danielle?
Yes.
Nate?
Yes.
Brody?
Aye. Motion passes 8-0-1. And we are now on to public input. 15 minutes total, 3 minutes for individuals, unless extended by a vote of the board. We ask that you keep your comments respectful, directed towards the board and the chair. No cross comments towards others in the crowd, and please, no vulgar language. The microphone's right up here, so feel free, and you have 3 minutes.
Well, I'm just gonna turn it on for others, so in case you change your
I want to be sure to speak in, so you can pull it off of that too.
I wasn't going to use it, but if you want me to, I will.
It's really for the recording and for the
okay.
benefit of everyone else. We can hear you, but people will rewatch this, or people in the crowd might be hard of hearing.
I understand. So for those of you who don't know me, Asa Stockton, I'm now the former varsity coach of Kingswood Baseball. That's actually why I'm here. I have a lot I want to say. I have a lot of information, a lot of documents.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Stock. Could you just state your town of residence? I forgot to
Ty,
mention at
yes.
the beginning. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Wolfeboro, New Hampshire. But I am just going to keep it short and just express my opinion about the termination. I think it was unwarranted. It was borderline egregious. And like I said, I have a whole binder of things to back it up. and all that whole binders from the last 2 years. I've been working for Kingswood as a volunteer and as an employee for the last 8 years, and never had a problem until 3 weeks ago. Excuse me. I literally gave blood, sweat, and tears as a player to this program, and for the last 8 years, I've dedicated and sacrificed family time, money, and personal time to make sure that I was here for the 4 months of the season and the other 8 months that you are There's things that you have to do as the head of the program, which is something I signed up for. However, I think the town, the school system, and the administration got very comfortable with how things were the 40 years before me. We were fortunate enough to have someone who could cover extra expenses, who could take the time, and it's something that I did do, but it hurt me. And I never complained, I never did anything. Once the budget freeze happened, I spent $2,200 of my own money, never complained about it. When I asked for reimbursements of some of it, I got looked at like I had 6 heads, which was never a problem under the old administration. The last 2 years, I had my old AD who was, we all knew he was resigning at the end of the year, so it was essentially kind of just a walking zombie at the school, you know. And then we had the new administration come in, very, I don't want to say unqualified, but lack of experience, a lot of learning curves, and it continued into the fall of this year, and as of 2 days before middle school tryouts, apparently I'm the fall guy. And the last 8 years, I've missed 2 meetings. One was this December, when I was in the hospital with my kid being born, and the other one was the spring coaches meeting, which was the reason for my termination. However, I need to add that the coaches meeting was scheduled for a Thursday and rescheduled on that day of the meeting for the following Monday, which I had obligations. I got out of those obligations, but then I had a family emergency and could not attend. I did not have great communication on this. I did tell my assistant coach who went. I assumed that he would tell people. However, in the handbook, it clearly states that it's mandatory to go to the spring coaches meeting. However, if something comes up, it is mandatory for the AD to provide a secondary meeting to go over what happened. That offer was not provided to me. He called me the night of the coaches meeting and terminated me. Again, I have a lot more I want to say, but I don't want to waste your guys' time, and I'm about to break down. So I'm not asking for I don't want the job anymore. I feel disrespected. The amount of time and energy I put into this town and program, and to be treated like that, I don't want it back. But what I do want is the ability to pursue other opportunities in coaching and not have to worry about having a bad reference or people saying things that aren't necessarily true. I also initially was going to ask for some reimbursement of the expenses that I inquired over the last year, not under contract, but I don't even care about that. The real thing I really want is somebody, whether it's someone from the board, someone from the school, to put together a plan to fix the, lack of a better term, problems that have been going on that are very, very unfortunate for the coaches involved, especially the spring coaches. We've gotten the bad end of the stick the last 2 years. I don't know what it is. When it comes to budgets, for some reason fall sports have everything they need, spring sports don't. Last year I bought hats out of my own pocket for the middle school kids. When I asked for reimbursement for that, I got shot down, which to me is just, is just crazy. You get paid $2,200 for a year-round part-time job, and to be expected to pay for things, that's just unheard of. And like I said, I didn't complain about it at all until I got terminated. And if there's anyone who has any questions or any complaints or anything they want to bring to me or debate with me, I'm happy to do that. But I want to say I'm sorry to the kids that I came close to and the parents that I formed relationships with. My assistant coaches that I brought on board that did it for free for the past 3 years, they were also let go, which is another thing I don't agree with. I think if you have an assistant coach who volunteers for 3 years, he essentially should be, at the very least, kind of like a temporary coach, especially when they make it clear that they want the job. The last thing I'll say is, I don't have any regrets. I don't have anything that it's really hard for me to not point fingers and not go too far with this, but like I said, if anyone has any questions, please reach out to me. I sent an email to you guys, so you have my email, my phone number's on that, and thank you for your time. I know it was more than 3 minutes.
That's okay. I knew you wanted to say your piece.
Thank you.
Further public input? Don't want to be premature, so I'll say any additional public input? Seeing none, we'll move on to the student representative report. Bryce, the floor is yours. Do you want to pass my microphone down to Bryce?
Thank you. All right, good evening, everybody. With spring approaching, our spring sports season have officially begun. Each team held tryouts last week, and their first games are as follows. Baseball and softball on the 15th at Plymouth, boys lacrosse at Timberlane also on the 15th, and girls lacrosse on the 13th at Kennet. Several teams also had scrimmages last week and this week to start off their season. Today, Kingswood Scholar athletes took a trip to Concord after having breakfast in the Skylight Dining Hall in the Tech Center for the NHIA Scholar Athlete Ceremony to celebrate student athletes across the state. Also this past month, our LRTC programs in DECA, FBLA, and FFA had their state competitions where several of our students had top 3 finishes and qualified for nationals. Also this past month, the theater program held their production of The Last Firefly with great outings from the public at both shows. Last week, Kingswood held their annual lip sync contest where the freshmen came first, and our spring fling dance was the week before that. Looking ahead, our youth and government program has their field trip at the state capitol this Friday to practice parliamentary procedure. In a few weeks, the English department will be taking their trip to Ireland over spring break, where they've been planning and fundraising for all year. Mrs. Famioli's Holocaust literature class will be going next week to see the New England Holocaust Memorial Museum in Boston. We have also begun planning for prom, which will be on May 9th and have a casino theme, and field day, which will come at a later date. The seniors are also planning a trip to Boston on the 15th of May to eat lunch at Faneuil Hall and do some escape rooms as a class. Thank you, and have a good rest of your night, everyone.
Thank you for your student representative report, Bryce. And next we have the superintendent's report. So first is the superintendent district update. So I'm just going to hold it at this point.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I will only highlight a couple things on my update because we have a couple presentations later diving deeper on these topics. So first, I notified all staff and families that the last day of school for students will remain as scheduled as a half day on Wednesday, June 17th. And staff will have one additional day, Thursday, June 18th, for some in-service time. I have an update on the Carpenter School renovation. The board toured the renovations before this meeting. We're very excited. Phase 2 is underway. And we're going to present on grade 3 and preschool proposal later in this agenda. I also want to provide an update regarding Title I summer funding at Ossipee Central School and Effingham for regarding summer school 2026. Unfortunately, programming will not be offered this year for our Title I program due to funding constraints within the Title I grant. We are aligning with the Ossipee Rec program to find opportunities to still provide a program and purchase curriculum materials to support students at Ossipee and Effingham this summer. While the district's overall allocation increased from approximately $685,950 in the 24-25 school year to $724,785 in 2025 to 2026, required set-asides and rising costs significantly reduced available funds. After the set-asides, approximately $588,876 remained, which was fully allocated to maintaining Title I staff at Ossipee and Effingham. Those staff members are during the regular school year. Increased salary and benefits costs, including health insurance, increased by $66,468, combined with the loss of the prior carryover year from ESSER 3. It resulted in an effective shortfall of about $27,634. So as a result, we had to prioritize our school year staffing, instructional staffing, and made the difficult decision to eliminate the summer programming, which must be included in the original grant application and funded through the prior cycle. So looking ahead, unfortunately, it is also not great news because updated census data suggests a decrease in poverty rates, which is good in and of itself, but what that means is that we will have decreased funds for Title I allocation. The district will continue to monitor the trends and explore options for reinstating summer programming in the future. May I continue? That concludes my district update.
Do board members have any questions or comments? So that'll definitely be something we're gonna have to address in the next budget cycle, that's for sure. Okay, if everyone's okay, Dr. Kelly, move on to the election results. All right.
Thank you. And while I review the election results, I welcome our preschool presentation. We can bring that up because that's the next item. Okay, so the final results from the March 10th annual meeting voting. Let's see, Article 1, School Board Member at Large, 3-year term, Mr. Tom Bickford. School Board Member Brookfield, 3-year term, Dr. Jim Manning. School Board Member, the final year of a 3-year term, Kirsten Burke. School Board Member, Wolfeboro, 3-year term, Dana House. Article 1, continued, School District Moderator, 1-year term, Caitlin Purdy Murphy. Article 2, the operating budget, passed. Thank you, community. Article 3, bargaining agreement with the Governor Wentworth Education Association or Teachers Association, passed. Thank you. Article 4, well, that was a special meeting if Article 3 was defeated, so that passed. Thank you. Article 5, Student Wellness Coordinator, did not pass. Article 6, repairs and improvements, $200,000, passed. Special Education Trust Fund, $250,000, passed. Article 8, Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund, passed for $50,000. Article 9, Established Health Insurance Trust Fund, passed. Article 10, provide funding for free and reduced meals, $250,000, again passed for the second year in a row. And finally, establish playground capital reserve fund for $150,000, passed. Thank you to our communities.
I doubt there's any discussion or comments on the election results. Okay, there is, sorry.
I just have a question, maybe for.
You want to grab the mic?
Oh, there's no, it's this table. It's this table.
Thank you. Maybe we should talk about it later, but the student wellness coordinator position is part of the strategic plan for the district, and this is the second time that it's not been funded, and so will the strategic plan be revised to address that shortfall?
That would be up to the board.
Okay.
I think that, the student wellness coordinator as part of the strategic plan is something that the community and the board supported.
Yeah.
And regardless of the funding, it may still be a priority. And perhaps, going forward, the wellness committee or the equity task force can discuss alternatives, because it seems that it would still be a priority of the district.
Thank you.
My only comment on that is, I think a big reason why our budget failed, I don't think a big reason, I think one of the reasons why our budget failed in fiscal year 25, and part of the reason why this warrant article failed is still a misunderstanding, but there were other voters too I heard from who didn't think that we needed the position, or even some who believed that nurses shouldn't be potentially, that their boss shouldn't be someone who's a non-nursing staff who hasn't been. So that was something I heard from a lot of voters who were very supportive of all the warrant articles. So I wonder, there needs to be a creative way to go about this, because I don't want us to just repackage this position in a similar way. I think no means no. When we put it as a standalone question, the voters rejected it. And we were smart to make it a standalone question so it wouldn't impact the budget, because one position in a budget the size of ours, for that to impact the budget's outcome is unfortunate. So I think that helped us with the budget this year, but yeah, I definitely defer to the staff who are gonna work on this question, but we're gonna have to think, the finance committee, the folks who will be serving on the finance committee, we're gonna have to think about a creative way and a new warrant article for how folks will wanna support a position that helps our nursing staff and overall wellness in the district, that'll help student outcomes. So that's my comment on it. But does anyone else have any? Go right ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to consider. The voters they spoke on it, it's important. I do think and I can say this as a practicing mental health professional, there's a real misunderstanding in our communities of special education needs. And Dr. R. Kellyan was just talking about, our special ed budget is disappearing faster than it used to. These are challenges people are still going to face. People in our community are struggling more in different ways, and it all comes through the school system. So it's important that we figure out a creative way to address it, and that staff are supported, but especially supported in keeping people healthy enough to be able to get the outcomes everybody wants. People want good test scores, and sick or mentally struggling children, once again, I keep saying this, but they're not going to perform well in the tests. And it won't really matter if they graduate with honors if they're not healthy. These will be our neighbors. If you don't have kids, they will be your neighbors. So it's important that they're healthy. I'm sorry. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Any other additional comments or anything else? All right, seeing none. Dr. Kellyan, I see we have a presentation on the Carpenter School preschool program.
Thank you very much. I invite my colleagues to come up to the smart board and present with me.
Yeah, go right in. I'll share this mic for when we have questions. Do you want us to hold questions until the end of the presentation, or do you mind if I recognize a board member and I want to ask during?
I think that'd be okay.
Does the board have any preference, asking questions during or waiting until the end? You want to wait?
Well, whatever.
kind of all squished over here by the
We'll wait till the
meeting
end.
board, is that okay?
We'll
Just yes.
mutually agree to wait till the end.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. This is something that we announced to the community a few weeks ago. And we did that on purpose so that we would give parents and community and staff members the opportunity to think about it. If they had questions, they could come to this meeting and hear about this proposal and add any feedback that they may have, but also so the board can process this and vote on how we can move forward. So first, thank you so much. So this is an overview of what we're going to be explaining to you tonight. Grade 3 at Crescent Lake. We've had grade 3 at Crescent Lake since almost a year ago, after that certain event happened here at Carpenter. So we relocated grade 3 over there, and they've been there ever since. And I'm gonna let Principal McGuire explain more about that experience. Our mission, our goal is to establish a district preschool program here at Carpenter School. And Dr. Kelly Mask is going to explain the scope of what preschool looks like in this district currently and how this will help us going forward. This will reduce tuition to outside providers. Now, while we still will be 100% partnering with Wolfeboro Children's Center, because we will always share children, we will always share families, we do know that we want to work with our students here as much as possible. Increase the capacity in our own schools, much like how we're bringing Lakeside Academy back into the high school. We're looking to bring our youngest Wolfeboro and other town students into this school so that we can work with them sooner. This will expand access for Wolfeboro families. So currently, the choice is Wolfeboro Child Care Center, where we push in services, but also our preschool programs are only at Ossipee and New Durham. So first, we'll talk about grade 3.
Hi everyone, I am Brittany McGuire, principal of Crescent Lake School. Great to see you all here tonight. So as you heard, last May when the ceiling collapsed here at Carpenter, 1st and 3rd grade were both placed at Crescent Lake. And this was a great temporary solution, but it was a little tight. We had classes in the art room and the music room and in the library. And although we were all under the same roof, it felt a little like 2 schools operating in one space. And so this past summer, when it was announced that 3rd grade would be coming to Crescent Lake for the year, we really wanted to be intentional and thoughtful about their placement and their transition. We did not want the 3rd graders to feel like visitors in the building. We wanted them to know that for this year, they were Crescent Lake School students. So this meant shifting around a number of classrooms. And in the new configuration, it meant that we now have a 3-4 wing and we have a 5-6 wing in our school. For those of you who have been around a while, you may recall that when Crescent Lake was originally built, we had 4 of each grade level. We had 4 4th, 4 5th, 4 6th, so 12 classrooms in all. Over the years, when enrollment declined and then leveled out again, we now always pretty much have 3 of each grade, and we have for some time, and that's what we have coming up to us from Carpenter. So even with 3rd grade there in our building, it still is 12 classrooms, which is the space that Crescent Lake School was designed to hold. This means that every class is back in their own designated classroom, and things like art, library, and music are back to their original purpose. And our 3rd graders have truly become part of the awesome Otter community. They came to Gunstock with us this winter. They are on our One Wheeled Wonders unicycling team. Later this month, when our drama club puts on their production of Shrek, there will be 3rd graders acting on stage and working in the back with the set crew. They're part of our Otter families. Seamlessly, quickly, they were really able to transition and become part of our school. There are also a lot of commonalities that exist between kids in the grade span of 3 through 6. It's commonly referred to as the middle grades. It's the age when kids switch from learning to read to reading to learn. It's when they start to apply the foundational math skills that they learn in grades K to 2. It also happens to be when they start taking the New Hampshire SAS state test. And so it kind of makes sense to just have them all together. I also would just share that when the news was announced that this proposal would come before you tonight, and the Crescent Lake staff heard, their response was quite moving. They burst into applause. They started hugging the third grade teachers. Everyone was so thrilled because I think we really feel like we're one big happy family with 3rd through 6th grade at Crescent Lake. So now Principal Rowe and I are going to talk a little bit though about our schools collaborating with each other. It really started this past summer when we were talking about the fact that in every other GWRSD elementary school, our kids get to stay there from K through 6. We are the only town where in the middle of their elementary years, kids make this huge transition to another school. And certainly part of the great thing about this plan is the reduction in transitions. But we feel like we have a real responsibility to help our students stay connected between the two schools throughout the whole time that they are with us. So the first way we started this was our parent-teacher organization. Our PTO decided to join forces, and that was really helpful for them. We share a lot of families, and so it makes sense for us to be one committee working for the benefit of the students in both of our buildings. The new model also is helpful because it lets families really understand what's going on K through 6 in the Wolfeboro elementary schools, the way they get to hear in Tuftonboro, in New Durham, in Effingham.
And I'll just add on just a little bit to that is just that it's been a little bit of a different experience here at Carpenter. We've had a lot of challenges in having Crescent Lake community right there to support us and include us in things that we couldn't do, like the Thanksgiving dinner. We all got together, and that was just such a beautiful thing and something that we hope to continue. Before that, our Halloween parade, and it's just I'm so happy to continue those things and to continue collaborating. It's been incredible. And as she said, because we have such a good sense of enrollment, it makes sense. And when I heard this and I hear about the 3 to 6 combination, pre-K to 2 gets me a little excited too. So.
Okay, so throughout the district, we offer preschool programming for our families and students in a variety of different ways. Ossipee Central School has 2 preschool teachers that run 2 sessions per day, a morning and an afternoon session, Monday through Thursday. There are currently 46 preschool students at Ossipee Central School. On the other side of the district in New Durham, we have morning sessions that are run Monday through Friday with 16 students. And centrally in Wolfeboro, we contract out for our preschool services and partner with the Wolfeboro Area Children's Center to provide these essential services. There are 18 Governor Wentworth Regional School District children attending the Children's Center, including Magic Moments, that live in the school communities of Wolfeboro, Tuftonboro, New Durham, and Ossipee. Wolfeboro's Children's Center has partnered with the district, and we consider them a trusted contracted agency for many years, providing preschool and related services to our youngest children. They have been committed to servicing our young children with disabilities as well for decades. We have been influential in a partnership with the Children's Center by providing a certified teacher as a mentor for their lead preschool special ed coordinator to finish their university and licensure requirements for New Hampshire Early Childhood Special Education Certification. This proposal to add preschool at Carpenter School is to add an option for children and families.
And as Brittany said, there's room to comfortably fit 3rd grade over there. We have finished phase 2, and we're fitting nicely here, K1 and 2. When phase 3 is finished, we will have some space to work with. And so that kind of just makes sense to take that next step and include preschool and have a pre-K 2 model here. It's exciting. It would allow us to work with students and their families earlier and offer smooth transitions into kindergarten and the primary grades. By serving children in the building from age 3 to 8, we can provide greater consistency in academic, social, emotional, and developmental supports. And we can identify learning and developmental needs early and align our instruction and interventions throughout the early grades. That all gets me pretty excited.
One of the things that I know the board and community has heard me speak about in the past is our duty as a district to locate, find, and evaluate children if there is a suspicion of a disability starting at age 2.5. So that sometimes is a good reminder for everyone that we are looking at children before kindergarten. And so yes, that typically happens at 2.5 years. Preschool referrals come from many different sources, including parents, pediatricians, early supports and services, as well as the court system. And as you know, Governor Wentworth is divided into 2 different counties, so we have 2 different area agencies that are making referrals from early supports and services. As mentioned previously, across the district, there are 3 locations that provide preschool services at Ossipee Central School, New Durham School, and the Wolfeboro Area Children's Center and Magic Moments. We also have some students being serviced at Head Start in Tamworth. So with preschool, just kind of looking at the special education needs, again, we approximately right now have 18 students at the Wolfeboro Area Children's Center. We expect, and thank you for approving a second preschool DPT. This is going to be extremely helpful as we navigate more referrals for early children. That demand is expected to continue. And again, like Dr. Eric Killian had said, in-district programming improves the coordination of services, and when you think about it, just the longevity of students, as Corinne had said, being at Carpenter School will expand over several years. As well as reducing transportation costs. And I know that is something that we have looked at in the past.
Okay, thank you. So, as mentioned, we will continue this community partnership. Let's see. We're starting with a steering committee. This is the timeline of how we would start this process. So if the board supports this plan tonight, we would put together a steering committee that would make all of these plans. And that would involve proposing staff to the school board in the fall during the budget process, and organize all of the plans that are needed for perhaps a pilot program, possibly starting with 1 classroom and maybe building to a 2nd classroom in the future. But the steering committee would be also working with the Wolfeboro Children's Center to make these plans. Because again, we would still be sharing students, possibly half at Carpenter, half at Wolfeboro Children's Center, or other combinations of shared services and transportation. And that planning would happen over the course of next year, with a goal to start the following fall, the fall of 2027. So as mentioned, we have an additional preschool DPT approved. So instead of 1, we have our very hardworking preschool DPT here in the audience. And she goes all over the district. Having a 2nd preschool already approved by the community will be very helpful, particularly for supporting this project. This plan supports district preschool programs now because it can offset some of the transition and some of these students who, possibly Tuftonboro, possibly Brookfield, students who go to Ossipee. It could be the case that there's room at Carpenter, and they come to this preschool. This helps with special education compliance, coordination, and as I said, the case management would be better aligned when we have the students at our own school. So certainly we can take questions, but this is the resulting configuration that we're proposing, to have Crescent Lake School be a grades 3 through 6 school, have Carpenter School be a preschool through grade 2 school. It's developmentally aligning the grade spans. We have space here now, as mentioned, as far as the classrooms that have opened up and are going to be finished fairly soon. And it supports long-term enrollment planning. So when we have the 3 and 4-year-olds here, it makes the kindergarten teachers very happy because they know the students that are coming forward, and we know what size our kindergarten classes are going to be. And I have another timeline slide. So this is what I mentioned before. The steering committee this coming year, we need to make a proposal for staffing, which would be at least 1 teacher and a paraprofessional, depending on what the steering committee determines. And then the following fall, launch a classroom, and then in the future, expand as needed. Because currently, I think you said 18 students at Wolfeboro Children's Center, 16 to 18 students. That is more than 1 preschool class. So we'll certainly take questions. I have proposed motions to the board because we think it's important for the board to recognize and endorse the grade levels at Crescent Lake, and also to authorize the district to move forward with a steering committee. It's not that you're approving every decision along the way tonight. It's to authorize the steering committee so we can proceed with this plan.
I have a lot of questions, but do any board members have questions? Who wants to go first?
I'll start.
There you go.
Thanks.
Jumping right in.
I think it's a great plan. The more we can do to bring our kids into our district, love it. My question is, because I know I'll get it from some people in the community, is like, obviously the teachers are already up at our Crescent Lake, so they're already kind of accounted for. But like with less kids here, are there going to be less staff, right? Or are they already up? Have they already transitioned up to the other school? Would be my first question.
The teachers who were here are just there. So it's not a matter of reducing staff. We need those 3 third grade teachers, for sure.
Or increasing staff, I think also is the point too. We're not going to see staff increase requests outside of maybe special education for Carpenter.
No, the staffing remains the same. In the fall, no, it wouldn't be the case that, because we moved 3rd grade to Crescent Lake, therefore we need more staff. Now, what I can say is that there still needs to be coordination and configuration as far as, because these 2 schools do share some staffing.
Right, like
So
specials,
they
right?
do
Like music
share-
teachers and gym
exactly.
teachers, right?
So there will be, the steering committee has to work on all of that. In fact, this year they already have. They've reduced the number of staff who go from school to school because, once they realized this was, for the year, they realized, okay, where, even though it's only a couple miles down the road, where can we reduce some of that travel time and some of that, I'm here for the morning, then back at Carpenter, then back at Crescent Lake. They've already streamlined a lot of that. And I think that will be the goal going forward. So it still could be the case that some of those related services switch a little bit. But as far as increasing staff, the increased staff will be for preschool.
Got it. Do you have any?
I have one more. But,
yeah, go right ahead.
I think my only other question was, all right, come back.
Oh, we can come back to you, Dr. Beth. Oh, Dana, go right ahead.
Hi, sorry. When you talk about the enrollment numbers at Crescent Lake, and right now there's 3 classes. I know historically between Carpenter and Crescent Lake it vacillates between 3 and 4. Have you done some projections in the future around what those numbers will be? Because if you have 12 classrooms, that really only allows for us to have 3 classes.
Thank you for that
each
question,
grade.
Dana.
Oh, you're very welcome.
You're right, that for a while we had this it's like the Ron West bubble, right? He used to go down to Carpenter and then he'd come back up to Crescent Lake with a group of 4. We haven't had that for a little while. Avery might be in the last group that had that bigger group. As we look down through Carpenter, they're pretty solidly in the 3-3-3 range. However, I will say I do actually have more than 12 classrooms, just with the way that it is structured. So if we happened to have a bubble, we could make it work. It's not ideal, of course, because it's nice when we have a little room to spread out. But yes, for right now, when we look ahead, we don't see having any 4s. Of course, we can't always control how many kids move in or things like that. But we are comfortable in our space enough that if we needed to, we could work with it if we had one of those 4 groups come along down the line.
I'll just comment to that too. We've seen with our population trends, especially school population, outlying towns that are much more affordable to live in, we've seen typically bumps, and Wolfeboro has actually kind of seen this steady stagnation. So it's been a little bit easier to predict. Like Tuftonboro, we've seen their younger grades all of a sudden really kind of boom and bust. So that's tougher to deal with. But I think Wolfeboro's pretty steady generally. But Dr. Beth?
Okay, sorry, it's a barrage. Ready? So I know that I don't know much about the current offering at the Wolfeboro Children's Center. At NDS, the preschool program that's offered is pretty limited. It's just a few hours during the day. Is that what you're looking to run here at Carpenter? It would be comparable to the Ossipee NDS?
It would be.
Okay, great. And the Children's Center, have we spoken to them about this? I mean, partnership is awesome. I think that they're great, and it's wonderful that they're here in the community. But on some level, this is absolutely introducing competition into the ecosystem, and so they must be cognizant of that.
Oh, we have invited them to be on the committee.
Okay.
We will always share students, especially in the first several years, because the preschool program that a school district has to offer will not satisfy the needs of all families. You know, families will still need, full day coverage, and the services that we are required to provide for 3 and 4-year-olds will be a fraction of that. So that's okay for some families, but others it will not be. And as we transition, it could be the case that we still have some students over there who do require services. I think it'll be, I know it will stay a partnership, but I think it will be more of an overlap and an ebb and flow in the future.
Okay, all right, and then last one. I know that the NDS program, even though it's limited, like they usually cap out, like they're max, they're way more demand. So like you might say there's 18 kids, but that's like capacity. Do we have projection or an understanding of whether there's demand for this here in Wolfeboro?
Well, we know this number currently, and there's a few things on that. First, we're supposed to have a 50-50% of students who are eligible and receiving services, and 50% neurotypical students who are not receiving services. So we could have a wait list for regular education students who don't qualify for services. So there's that piece. And then, what was the second part of your question?
I was asking it, really it's a projection demand question. Do we have a sense of whether if there's a real need and that we think we're gonna have a strong?
And so then I think the steering committee will be coming to the board during the budget process to say, we're doing one classroom well, year 2, and I don't know, maybe they'll propose to you 2 teachers in the fall, I don't know. But year 2, they might ask for a second teacher and thereby have 2 classrooms. There's space here. I don't know if you want to add to that as far as what we know is for capacity.
I can just talk a little bit about our numbers and the growth of preschool eligible students and referrals of preschool students across the district, not just Wolfeboro. And so that is something that we are taking into consideration. And especially with the new preschool DPT position to help with that growth. Yeah. Thank you.
Does anyone else have I'm going to go back to Dana. Okay.
Follow up after Dana.
Okay, and then Nate after Dana.
Sorry, sorry. I just want to make a comment on that. As a parent of a current preschool age child in Wolfeboro, from a competition perspective, after the pandemic, I think 2 or 3 preschools in town closed, and it's impossible to get into the children's center. So I think from a community perspective, it would probably be very welcome to have an alternative, even if it's just a half day, a couple of days a week. Because right now, I think the children's center is one of maybe 2 opportunities for people to get local preschool.
I think it's a very good point. Do any of the administrators want to? Do you guys want to address that, or just something separate? It's okay if it was something separate. I just didn't know if you guys were commenting.
We were
on
talking
that.
about capacity, and as far as, if we have 18 students who are identified, they're receiving services, that's more than 1 classroom, depending on their ages.
Okay.
So.
I have some questions. Nate, go right ahead.
Just kind of follow up on the wait list. So, because I think you mentioned that maybe like if there's wait lists in like OSPI, and there's room in the Wolfeboro, would there be, rather than like a parent going to like the Madison preschool or something, that would be an opportunity for other kids in the district to come here if there's.
Could take out of district.
No, not well in district, but like.
So I think that's something that our preschool DPT works in team decisions to talk about in individual meetings across the district. It doesn't matter what town you may be from, but just having those conversations about what's going to work best for that child, depending upon what they need, what type of program they need, how many days, is it a morning program, is it an afternoon program, is it both, what type of services, as well as just looking at the capacity of what our preschools across the district can provide.
Thanks.
I have some questions. Do you have another question?
No, I just no.
Okay, then I'm going to ask a few questions. I just want to, just for my recollection, Effingham, those students, pre-K students, they can enroll in the OSPI program, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't remember off the top of my head. Now, what happens with the Tufton Borough students? Can they enroll in the OSPI program, or are they expected to enroll in a Wolfeboro program?
So it's not really town dependent, Brody. It's really about what needs the students have, and placement is really a team decision that our DPT, that our preschool DPT and our service providers talk about. It depends upon the family situations. It depends upon, there may be a family that is a Wolfeboro resident, but they work in New Durham, and so that might work better, or vice versa. It's a Wolfeboro family and they work in Ossipee. Wouldn't it be great if my child could go there? So it really depends upon what type of, if the student is eligible for special ed services, it's really looking at the capacity of what type of services do they require, and where are those services.
So I understand. So students and their so I should say parents of these students who are looking to enroll, whether they're neurotypical or not neurotypical, they are applying to the SAU office, and then there's a team that is working with those families to determine where the best placement is, whether it's the OSPI program, currently the Children's Center, but would be eventually the Wolfeboro program or the New Durham program, and we're making a placement based on the staff that can provide those services, the capacity of space and the staffing we have there, and then also we need to budget to make staffing accommodations depending on what that growth is and what our projections are.
In a nutshell.
Okay. Now my next question is the potential cost savings, because we've seen, just like with Kingswood Academy, is that there's cost savings for bringing these types of programs in district and employing staff rather than paying a tuition. So my question's kind of twofold, is what is our projected savings about, based on very rough projections that we have at the moment, which I don't know if that's possible, but also how much are we paying per year in tuition to the Children's Center? Kind of twofold question.
Cost savings, I'm not sure I have that broken down in terms of cost savings, but we do pay tuition to the Children's Center for their services. I do have to say that the cost
cost has been the same for many years. And we've worked with the Children's Center to make sure that that's been even keel. They have reserved 10 to 12 spots for us over the years, and we've exceeded that over this year and last year. I can get the numbers. I have them right over here.
That would be great. I'd love to hear the numbers.
So, and again, tuition is
dependent upon the enrollment. So for 25-26, this is this school year. So our tuition has been the same since 18-19. So Wolfeboro Children's Center, for each student, we pay $99.20 a day. For the 25-26, the current school year, to date, as of this past week or last week, we've spent $115,189.69. Last year, the 24-25 school year, well, let me back up one moment. Right now, that's for 13 to 15 students, but I do know that we have 18 students, that we've serviced 18 students at the Children's Center this year. For 24-25, the total expense was $216,956. And then 23-24 school year, between 10 and 15 students, $169,319.60. With that, it's the tuition, it's the cost for related services, mostly speech and OT, and if there's any miscellaneous costs, so if a student requires an assistant, an aide to help them, that's what we're charged.
So it seems to me generally is our issue the fact that Wolfeboro, we kind of lack the capacity for our current number or current student trends. So even though it might cost a little bit more to bring this in-house, we're better meeting students' needs or having better capacity to meet more students to have access to this programming.
I think more students, for sure. I think if you look at Brookfield and Tuftonboro communities, also inviting them to Carpenter School.
Okay, so this is really, it's not like we would be doing this to save costs. We would be doing this because we need to help better meet our student population in that age bracket.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Beth.
Just out of curiosity, is the district paying a tuition cost related to preschool services at New Durham or at Ossipee? Or not, right?
No, they're district.
So that is a potential savings. Students who would be enrolled here at Carpenter would no longer cost a tuition line. We may have costs for employing staff and or related services, and so it might be a wash.
And I think so yes, and I want it to be a wash or even
Sure.
cost savings, but I think
hard to know without an actual budget.
Yeah, and I think just looking at the tuition though, even at the higher end of, 10 to 15 students was about 216,000. I think when you're all done full-time with benefits, if you need 2 full-time support staff, it is effectively a wash. But I think I'm trying to demonstrate though in some of my questions how there's clearly a need and we need to make this investment even if it does cost a little bit more.
Sure, and the neurotypical student families, they do pay tuition to the schools for enrollment as well.
Yeah,
right?
it's yes, a little tuition. It's a per diem.
So even for the students that don't go to the Children's Center, all the students?
No, so just the neurotypical students. So students that aren't eligible for special education. So a preschool child that wants to come in to do preschool programming. There's an application process, as you referred to, and those families are charged a tuition per day, per diem tuition.
And we're talking the non-neurotypical students?
Neurotypical.
They pay a tuition?
Yes. So typically developing children, if they want preschool in our district, will pay a tuition. Right now the rate is $15 a day.
Okay. My last question, and this is all really insightful, and Very informative, thank you. So you described maintaining a partnership with the Wolfeboro Children's Center. What does that exactly look like? I mean, are we imagining where it's aligning scheduling so we know they'll be here at these times on these days, but these children still need access to childcare, so we're going to make sure that there's someone to walk them back to the Children's Center? Like, is that effectively what we're...
I think that that's all to be determined. I think that I think it's really important to emphasize just that we value that relationship, and offering an additional preschool program here at Carpenter School. We're just going to have to navigate what does that look like. The steering committee is going to help facilitate that, and and having additional time to plan out and answer all of those questions, Brody. I think that really is what is needed, so we can talk about what does that look like. Carpenter students used to be walked to school from the Children's Center. That doesn't happen anymore. So just kind of taking into consideration all of those factors.
Are there any other questions board members have? So how I'm kind of imagining we take up these questions is it seems as if the question of whether or not to proceed with a preschool program, if we decide that, then ultimately then we'll decide the move of 3rd grade to Crescent Lake. Am I wrong in understanding that? No.
I do have 2 proposed motions on the last slide.
Yeah, that's what I want. I guess my question is, which one do we want to take up first? I felt as if it made more natural sense to approving a preschool program. Then if that happens, then we're going to have to probably discuss and approve the move of 3rd grade from Carpenter to Crescent Lake. If we don't approve the preschool program, it's kind of a moot point.
They want to move it regardless.
Well, 3rd grade's already there.
You want to move it regardless, even if we don't approve the preschool program?
3rd grade's already there.
Okay,
But
that's valid.
Are we approving the program or the steering committee for the program?
So what I...
Yes, thank you for that.
Yes, what I proposed is for the school board to authorize the district to proceed with planning for the establishment of a preschool program with potential implementation beginning in the 27-28 school year.
So I guess the order we take up the questions doesn't matter, and I appreciate Dana clarifying that point. So does someone want to make either motion? Doesn't matter?
I will make a motion to move that the Governor Wentworth Regional School Board approve the designation of Crescent Lake School as grades 3 through 6 school effective for the 26-27 school year.
Second.
Okay, so it's been moved by Kirsten, seconded by Dr. Beth, to approve the designation of Crescent Lake School as grades 3 through 6 school effective for the 26-27 school year. Is there any further discussion? All right, if you could call the roll, Kathy.
Tom?
Yes.
Kirsten?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Dr. Jim?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Dr. Beth?
Yes.
Danielle?
Yes.
Nate?
Yes.
Brody?
Aye, so motion passes unanimously. So the next motion, I don't know if someone wants to make it. Dr. Beth?
I would like to move that the Governor Wentworth Regional Schools Board authorize the district to proceed with planning for the establishment of a preschool program at Carpenter School during the 2026-2027 school year with potential implementation beginning in the 2027-2028 school year to be determined.
Second.
All right, motion by Dr. Beth, seconded by Dr. Jim. Is the motion clear to everyone? It's written in the packet. Yes.
Can we add wording just to clarify that it's, is that what can I propose an amendment?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Can we add wording just to clarify that we're approving the steering committee specifically for the planning, just to make sure that it's really clear?
I think it's already clear that it's planning.
So you don't want to amend your motion?
Nope.
I'd have to lean with Dr. Beth. I think it's clear based on their presentation.
Okay.
I do see what you're saying,
see
though.
what
I don't
you
want
mean,
to.
but
I don't want to. Any other comments or questions? All right. Seeing none, Kathy, if you could call the roll on the second question.
Tom?
Yes.
Kirsten?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Dr. Jim?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Dr. Beth?
Yes.
Danielle?
Yes.
Nate?
Yes.
Brody?
Aye. All right. Motion passes. passes 9-0.
Thank you
so
all very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We have a pre-K program. What? Well, I'm might have a message.
Is this yours?
Yes, Bryce says he has the right idea. I don't blame you.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
You want to take a 5-minute? We're going to take a 5-minute recess. Folks want to go to the bathroom and have a cup of water. Look at that, we don't even have I'm going to call the meeting back to order after our 5-ish minute recess. Hope everyone's refreshed. We're halfway there. Next is the equity plan update. So Dr. Eric Kellyan, I will pass it over to you.
Thank you, and I'm going to ask Dr. Hills to provide this update for us.
Good evening. So on the website, the board website, you actually have access to the full equity plan. You have a memo and a graphic in your board packets tonight. But this month last year, the equity audit was completed, and we brought that forward to you for review. And now I'm pleased to share our equity plan has been developed and drafted. This is done with the Equity Task Force and in partnership last year with Great Schools Partnership, who helped us with that audit. This plan provides a strategic roadmap that translates key findings into targeted actions aimed at fostering an inclusive, supportive learning environment for every student across the district. So our equity plan is organized around 5 overarching focus areas: student-centered learning environments and instruction, curriculum and program access, equity and professional practices, equitable and restorative practices, and community engagement and partnerships. Our district task force has members representing a range of schools and roles across the district, along with members of our administrative team. And they have divided into subcommittees this year and have engaged in some protocols to develop specific action plans around the goals specific to those 5 overarching focus areas. Of course, as with any plan, it is a living document that will evolve over time as timelines ebb and flow a little bit, and we learn more as we conduct additional studies to determine and gather more data to inform our practices. This is being shared with you tonight. We have shared it with our staff already, and in following this meeting in the remainder of the week, we will be posting the plan on the website, and we'll be sharing information to families in the wider community, as well as the graphic on the back, which provides a visual overview of the 5 different focus areas, our action plan phases, and really the overall goal. Happy to take questions if you have any.
You don't have any questions?
I just got one.
I have one too. So.
I just saw a lot of a lot of good work and a lot of I think there's a lot to be accomplished in the next couple of years or future years. So I think it's a tall task, definitely. But I just didn't know if there was a reason. Like there's a lot of towards the end, a lot of blank measures of success. I didn't know if that was just we're going to work towards that, or if there's more to come.
Yes, as they're developing their action plans, getting an idea of what those specific measures of success will look like.
Perfect. Thank you.
So on. Oh, there we go. Any other questions? All right. My first question is, so I noticed the term restorative justice mentioned. What does that mean in the context of our school district, and how is something like that implemented? Because I know that this is an older term that's been thrown around for a long time. I want to understand the scope and what it's applicable to in this context.
Certainly. So when our task force and subcommittees were looking at that, they were really thinking about what are some ways that we can work to help students that aren't necessarily the traditional, for lack of a better word, punitive discipline. It's the idea that there are certainly consequences, and consequences don't go away, but how do you provide education to students so that they are not repeating the offenses? And so restorative is really that idea that you're restoring the relationship that you broke by engaging in whatever poor behavior choice that you did, and learning from it and moving forward in a more positive way.
Okay. I have another question, but I want to let others go in case any other questions. All right. And my last question is the larger document that you provided us that will be on the website. You mentioned including all students at all levels in some of the determination of measurements or how to move forward. How does that look like in the lower levels? Because I can understand you have a group of high schoolers where you provide feedback. Maybe you have some kind of like feedback focus group. That's a focus group. Like, how does a kindergartner or first grader like suck tonight? How are they going to provide you feedback?
So that's something again that will develop out of our specific measurable goals and measurable indicators of success. Of what does that look like? How is that appropriate? In terms of student focus groups, we found with our strategic plan that we had focus groups all the way down to 3rd and 4th grade, and they were just guided in a different way than they were at our middle and high school levels. And so we rely on our experts in the classroom to determine what is the developmentally appropriate way to gather feedback from students.
Could you, looking at everyone else, I have one more question. I just want to understand, how does that look like for the younger levels though? So when you're talking about like how these questions are posed and how they're guided, how does that look versus like the older levels? Because they can understand much of these more broader, nuanced topics. How does that look at a younger level?
So first of all, depending on what you're asking students, there are ways to ask students at different age levels, where it's the language, it's how you're framing it, it's who's framing it. So at the middle and high school level, we had students lead our student forum groups. At our elementary levels, it was guidance counselors and teachers. And so they're more attuned to what kids need. And secondly, some of the really meaty pieces, you might not be getting information in a student forum group. It might be something as simple as asking kids, to fill out I don't want to use the word survey, but you're getting their feedback with something like visuals of, how do you feel today? A smiley face, middle of the road face, or a frowny face. So you're getting feedback in a way that's developmentally appropriate for them.
Okay, because I think a lot of people, they hear these discussions and hear it in the younger levels, and I don't think they can really imagine how, even I can't, how you get feedback from younger kids. So I think that's an important thing to demonstrate to the board and to the community.
And I think it's important that, we're not going in and saying to any student, do you feel that this is, that we have equitable policies and, you're using language and it's something as simple as, do you feel like you belong in this classroom, that you have a voice in this classroom? And kids as young as kindergarten can, give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
I think that's exactly what I was looking for, how you stated at the end there, so thank you. Does anyone, yes, Mary? Oh, yeah.
Thank you, this is beautiful. Could you speak to a little bit more about the community engagement and partnerships?
Certainly. So you can see, and these are, if you're looking at the graphic, you can see that there are 4 bullets there, but they actually have more sub-goals than that. It's really this idea that we want to make sure that all voices and all families are heard and valued and feel like they are part of this wider school community. And so you can see, for example, increase outreach to underrepresented families. For example, we learned through the audit last year that we have many families who have had a negative experience with school at some point in their history. And so they don't want to come into a school, even if it's for something positive like a student family night. And so it's thinking about how do we reach out to them. So community engagement could be, you know, it's specific to families, but it's also thinking about how do we increase access and equity using all of our community partners.
Thank you.
Dr. Beth?
Yeah.
You can keep that there. I've asked my question.
On? Okay, great. Thank you for bringing this, Dr. Hills. I have a couple of comments and then a question. So I'm really excited to see the second area of focus related to curriculum and program access. You know I'm a huge advocate for rigor in the curriculum here in the community, and I'm really glad to see that the task force is looking about pathways for students who want challenge and opportunity to challenge themselves and to really push it, while also being the consistently supportive district that we have been for students who need supports as well. So that's awesome. Thank you. This board was faced last year with really serious questions about racial bias in our classrooms, about bullying, about really serious interpersonal issues. And so I am hopeful that this plan is really addressing those things in a brave and bullseye targeted way. Can you speak a little bit more to that piece of it? And are we tracking frequency of incidents, et cetera? And then as a tangent, I'm curious, is the SRO involved in this work at all?
So they would be as one of our employees or as one of our stakeholder groups, if you will. The specific, and as we develop them, then we'll be able to share them, but some of those specific action plans will speak to who's involved. Are these teachers? Is it a committee that involves, our safety group, our SRO, our admin? So yes to the SRO, and that they would be an important part for many of these sub-goals. In regards to some of the instances of racial language that we faced last year. So at the end of last year, our final PD day in June with staff, we had all staff attend a training around hate speech. And then one of our follow-up pieces that you don't see necessarily in here, but it is in the plan if you look in it, is to conduct further training around hate speech, around racial bias, around all of those pieces. And so that's something that is definitely in there.
And the standardization in discipline data systems that's here, we are working on making sure we understand frequency and gravity of incidences and we're making sure that we're being consistent in how consequences are applied and looking for other pathways to not just punish but also teach. That's what I'm hearing from you. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sure. My dad texted me.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tom.
I'm looking at the curriculum and program access. And it looks like you're collecting information on how many kids are participating in the advanced classes, which I presume are like AP and
Honors and AP, yes.
okay. You're going to standardize communication about academic pathways. What is an academic pathway?
So academic pathways are different ways to achieve your diploma. They also, in a large sense, let me back up.
Okay.
There are two ways that you could think about this, and they're both in play here. In one sense, it is different ways that you can achieve your diploma. It could be that you have, that you are in a traditional path where you're getting the 26 credits and you are at the high school every day in a normal way. But we have other students who, based on their particular needs, maybe being in school every single day is not the right pathway for them. And so that's where we're looking at things like Kingswood Academy, which was previously Lakeside. That might be where we have some online options for some students who are taking some online courses, and those in addition to what they're doing at the high school, because we may not be able to offer them everything that we can, or everything that they need here at the high school. So there's those sort of pathways. But pathways is also, even within our system, you have some students who want to take an honors track, some students who want to take a track that includes both honors or classes at the high school, but also classes at the tech center, and they want to take some of those, they want to take pursue a program over there. So you have students who want to pursue dual enrollment classes so that they can get college credits. So there's the big pathways globally, but there's also, even if you're within the high school day in and day out, there are different pathways, whether it's the 28 or the 26 or the 20 credit diploma. So just different pathways globally and internally.
Okay, thank you very much. And it goes into expand access to advanced coursework. And the result will be more diverse student representation in the advanced courses. So my question on that is, I guess my question is, what does that mean?
So we want to make sure that no matter what town you come from, no matter what your background is, no matter what your socioeconomic background is, no matter what your gender is, no matter what any of those other demographic pieces are, that you have access to advanced coursework, that you have been given the information that it exists at our high school, and that you are set up so that if you want to take those classes, you can.
Okay. My last question is one I mentioned to you earlier. I think this is all great, but my concern is you can put a student into a high honors class, but if they haven't had the rigorous classroom work to make them able to do that work, I'm just concerned that it's not going to succeed, and I'd be interested in what we're doing to increase that vigor.
Yes, and so let me clarify that my last statement doesn't mean that we're putting kids who aren't qualified into classes they're not qualified for. It just means that every student has gotten what they've needed along the way, and has, so that should they be presented with that choice, they've had opportunities along the way to get to that point. Again, we're not about putting kids in a class where they'll fail. And again, participation in advanced classes might look like it's a high school specific goal, and in large part it is, but it also is looking at what are we doing along the way to prepare students K through 8. So it's, this equity plan is not specific to the high school. It is a district-wide initiative and a district-wide plan to make sure that whatever the goal is, we're setting kids up to get there.
Okay, thank you very much. Danielle, did you have?
Yeah, but you could go first. Okay. Thank you. You've touched on this with curricular work, Katie, but I remember in the equity audit, one of the big things that they found was that extracurriculars were something, there's a pretty chasmic disparity between the outlying towns and the Wolfeboro-based kids in terms of their participation in extracurriculars. Has the committee made any progress on understanding that issue, or is that still a work in progress?
That's a work in progress, so that's one of the things that one of the specific action plans that we're fleshing out to say, what does this timeline look like? Who has to be at the table to have those conversations? Because it's more than just the equity task force and the administrators.
Please keep working on it. Thank you.
I just wanted to add or comment on what Katie was saying. Like, I was a kid who was poor. I was the first person in my family to go to get their bachelor's degree. So my parents weren't aware of things that people who maybe went to get their bachelor's degree were aware of. And I know that it had been noticed that there were differences in like who was taking AP classes, even though theoretically they're open to everybody. So that's where this is coming from, which is why I really deeply appreciate that. It's not about ability, although the experiences that we have in school like help us reach our potential or not. So I'm excited about this plan, and it's a good graphic, and I loved what I read, and thank you for all this work.
Thanks.
Are there any other comments or questions? Mary, your mic is right there.
Thank you. I see how this ties so beautifully to the strategic plan. It's like the child of or whatever, and removal of barriers. That's what it's access and opportunity. So having been part of that process, I see this generationally, even that which is going on with preschool. It's just beautiful to see how it's all aligning. So appreciate all the work.
Any other comments or questions? Great, that was an awesome discussion. We'll move on to the budget transfer requests. So we have 3 budget line item transfer requests. So I'm wondering if we want to take these up individually or as a bulk. Even if we vote on them as a bulk, you can ask questions about all 3, but does the board have any preference?
Bulk.
I'm hearing a few people say bulk, so I'll make a motion that we approve the line item transfer requests, all 3 of them in a bulk vote as presented.
Second.
All right. Motion by me, seconded by Dr. Beth. Is there any comments, questions, discussion on the line item transfers? Seeing none, Kathy, if you call the roll, please.
Tom?
Yes.
Kirsten? Yes. Dana?
Yes.
Dr. Jim?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Dr. Beth? Yes. Danielle?
Yes.
Nate?
Yes.
Birdie?
Aye. Next, we're on to the OCS Schools Out survey. So we approve this annually, but I'll let Dr. Arkelian speak to it.
Sure, thank you. Yes, this is required for our 21st Century Grant funding for the Schools Out after-school program at Ossipee Central School. This is an optional non-academic survey to 3rd through 6th grade students, and it still requires parent consent, but given it is a non-academic survey, it's required for the board. We need board approval to administer. Thank you.
So my one comment, because it comes up every year, is we are required to approve the survey to receive the federal grant dollars. So we always talk a lot about the substance of the questions, and if we can change them. We cannot change the substance of the questions, and if we don't approve the survey, then we don't get the federal grant dollars. So to head that off at the pass. Is there any further questions or comments?
Sounds like a good idea.
I think the Schools Out program in Ossipee is one of the best programs we have in the school district, and really helps our students in that school. So I'll make the motion that we approve the survey as presented.
Second.
Seconded by Nate
It
Williams.
was me. I think
I'll give it to Mary. I'll give it to Mary.
I don't want to get upset.
I'm giving it to you, Nate. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Kathy, if you could call the roll, please.
Tom?
Yes.
Kirsten? Yes. Dana?
Yes.
Dr. Jim?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Dr. Beth? Yes. Danielle?
Yes.
Nate?
Yes.
Birdie?
Aye. Next is the CLS crowdfunding request, and can we take up both as a bulk vote, the crowdfunding request? Is that okay with everyone?
Sure.
We have, what is it, CLS and the Skills USA?
Yes.
All right, Dr. Arkelian, do you want to speak to both?
I can do.
Briefly.
So brief.
Thank you for your consideration. The first request is for National History Day field trip to Washington, D.C. in June, requested by Crescent Lake and the middle school. And the second one that I added in agenda review is for National Skills USA Leadership Conference held in Atlanta, Georgia, also in June.
So I'll make a motion to approve both crowdfunding requests as presented. I'll give everyone a minute though to review the Skills USA one because that wasn't in our online packet. It was included in the packet today. So if you want to look that over briefly, I would recommend it before we vote. So I'll give everyone 60 to 90 seconds. Yeah, go for it. Well, no one seconded my motion, so do you want to second it?
I'll second it.
Okay, fair.
I just want to say that the Skills USA is really exciting. Our new program had 2 winners. The boat program.
I saw that.
Has everyone had a motion to look over the Skills USA? It's okay. Be here all night.
I was late. Lost for one. How many winners did we have outside of our?
I don't.
two in the-
Usually we have a fair amount of folks actually.
We had 5 students.
Yeah, 5.
Nice.
All right. Are we good?
Oh, there was already a motion.
There is a motion. So is no further discussion? Seeing none, Kathy, if you could call the roll for the approving both of the crowdfunding requests as presented.
Was Kirsten the second?
She was the second.
Tom?
Yes.
Kirsten? Yes. Dana?
Yes.
Dr. Jim?
Yep.
Mary?
Yes.
Dr. Beth?
Yes.
Danielle?
Yes.
Nate?
Yes.
Birdie?
Aye. And Dr. Kelly, and your last item on your list is end of year events.
Yes, however, I did add
Yes.
Kingswood Camp after
Oh.
that.
Okay.
Mr. Giesler has patiently waited for like 3 hours. We're not skipping it.
Okay.
It is absolutely happening. Okay, end of year events is first. This is just information for the board. We provide the end of school district events. All events are subject to change. This list is provided to you. The school board members will receive calendar invitations to the items in blue. This is different in past years when we had a spreadsheet and you put a little thing. We're gonna not do that because it wasn't helpful, we found, on either side. Because you'd have to check it, then you change your mind, maybe you don't go back, so we're not gonna do that. And we have a good system with our Google Calendar invites. So you can check yes or not anything or no, but you'll get invitations to the events in blue because those are specifically board events. I think you can go to most anything you like, but you'll get invitations to those. And please refer to the website calendar for the most accurate information. And Kathy Legassi was kind enough to provide kind of a glossary on the back if you have specific questions about some of those events, because we are lucky to have so many events. It's sometimes hard to distinguish what from what, but certainly reach out to us if you have any questions. This is just information for you.
The last thing is the Kingswood Theater Summer Camp.
Yes, Kingswood
Mr.
Theater
Giesler.
Summer Camp. Mr. Giesler is here to speak to this. Thank you very much. You may recall from a board meeting a couple months ago, we proposed to the board a partnership with the Kingswood Theater.
Kingswood Children's Summer Theater.
Yes, so not to be confused with the Kingswood Children's Summer Theater. This is different. This is Kingswood Theater Summer Camp because this is something that Scott Giesler's put together. I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Let me just make sure I get that on. I think check, there I am. Okay, thank you all. I'll try to be as brief as humanly possible. What we're attempting to do is provide an opportunity for at least some of the kids of the district this summer to participate in a summer theater camp program. This is a long-standing tradition within the confines of the district, and we'd like to see if we can keep it continuing on. Due to the fact that we're at a point in the year where we're so close to summer, we're attempting to create something that's maybe a smaller in scale, smaller in scope. And hopefully that will be a building block to something bigger in future summers. So we're looking at trying to create a 2-week program out of the Kingswood Arts Center. Starts the week right after 4th of July weekend. We're looking to service students who are rising to 2nd grade, and while it says here 6th, we've had some conversations that potentially we may be looking at rising 7th graders as well, to include just a slightly larger demographic. It would be 2 weeks, 8 until noon for those 2 weeks, with a show at the end of it on the 17th and 18th, about a half-an-hour show. Our target right now is to get about 30 students in the door, which is kind of a modest number. In the information that you have listed there, we have listed out staffing for it, plus a projected budget. We are hoping that we will be able to keep it, of course, in the black. We're hoping that it will be self-funded, and that at the end of the summer that we can, if there's any profits, we can roll those over to next summer so we can continue to grow the program. We have a lot of really great people that have already expressed interest in being a part of a program like this, a lot of very experienced people. And so essentially what we're just looking for is just to try to find a way forward to provide this experience to kids. Questions I can answer.
Yeah, go right ahead, Dana.
Sorry. I wasn't here at the last meeting, but how does this impact the other program? Is the other program happening? And
At this time, no.
Okay.
It's not gonna happen this summer.
This summer, okay. Is this only gonna be available to students within the district, or will it be available, because I know the other program had a lot of kids that were visiting that would also enroll in that program?
Yeah.
Will we also open this opportunity up to other?
Yeah, I think what we found in past years when Kingswood Children's Summer Theater ran, these were kids that were part of the community, even if they were only for like the summer months kind of thing. And I think we're looking to kind of meet that same population. Yeah.
Dr. Beth? Sorry, I thought you wanted to say something. You already had the mic. Oh.
It's quick.
I just wondered
they
why.
have a mic over here too, so you guys
Yeah,
share
yeah,
your
stop
mic
stealing
and
your
you guys
mic.
share your mic.
I was just wondering why the difference in pay for the staff members, like one's 3 and the other 2 are 1,500. I didn't know if do they do more or something?
Well, yeah, I would look at the producer job is sort of a more long-term job. You're talking about someone who's first going to be doing the recruiting, someone who is going to be handling all the business aspects of things, and probably will be projecting work beyond the 2-week production.
Dr. Beth.
Thank you. This is sort of for you, but also sort of for them.
Okay.
Do we have like adequate insurance or other necessary legal protections to run a program like this over the summer?
It's covered by Primex. It's a school, it would be a school program.
Lovely, thank you.
I have a Kathy question. The revenue, so do we have like a special revenue account for the theater programs, and so this money will be placed into those special revenue accounts, they won't lapse, they stay in that account?
It's called a revolving fund. It's Fund 7, which is what we have Kingswood Arts. And I had explained during our meeting that we can create general ledger account numbers for revenues and for the expenditures. Much like we do for our federal funds, we'll assign it like a project number. We'll come up with it because we control those numbers in-house, the general ledger account numbers, and we can signify it that all the revenue from this 2-week summer camp goes into those line items and the expenditures as well. So it'll be easy to watch and revolving.
Oh, yeah, you haven't spoken yet, so.
I'm quiet. I don't know if I missed it. Is there an option for children who may not be able to afford the $300 per week for scholarships?
Right. At this time, unfortunately, we do not have enough of a financial foundation to be able to provide too much in the way of scholarships, as we're just getting started up, and the money that we collect from the tuition will be going into funding the program. However, if we are successful and we can continue on, the foundations of finances that we get this summer could very easily meet those needs for next summer.
I have a follow-up about Primex.
So it was asked if students not enrolled in the district could attend, and it was expressed that that was possible. Would we still have adequate insurance and legal coverage for students not enrolled in this district participating in this program?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
One more thing to say.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I think this is a wonderful idea. I know my daughter was involved in the other program, and I would love to see this come to fruition because it was sorely missed last year. I do have a question about sponsorships. Like, it says on year one sponsorship at $1,000. I'm assuming that's like your baseline goal, but with potential for more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and it also may not just be one sponsored 1,000. It might be something where we get that in the aggregate. It's developing. I think that's a reasonable goal to expect that we could raise that funds. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Go right ahead, Nate.
Will you be on the hook for this if they don't get 30? Clearly, it sounds like you have more than 30 kids, or there's plenty.
Well, the reality of it is that when we do the recruitment, there is a deadline to enroll and for tuition. So if we reach that point and we clearly have not reached close to that goal, then we know we just can't run it.
Thanks. Yeah. Oh yeah, go right ahead, Danielle.
So I haven't had an opportunity to come to previous performances. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how adorable is this going to be?
That would be a 15. Yes.
I don't think there should be any additional comments or questions. That's a good way to end. Are there any additional comments or questions? All right, seeing none, this is an action item, correct? All right, so I will make a motion that we approve what is this called? The Kingswood Theater Summer Camp program as presented.
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Beth. Seeing no further discussion, Kathy, if you could call the roll once you're ready, please.
Tom?
Yes.
Kirsten? Yes. Dana?
Yes.
Dr. Jim?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Dr. Beth?
Yes.
Danielle?
Yes.
Nate?
Yes.
Birdie?
Aye. Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you very much for that support. We're very excited. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're now moving on to the chairperson's report. So you'll see there's a letter in your packet that I sent to the chair and the members of the Senate Election Law and Municipal Affairs Committee. And I actually had the opportunity to talk with our state senator about this bill. It was House Bill 590. It would have prohibited cooperative school board members at large, of which we have 3 of. It would have overridden the existence of those 3 officers and prohibited cooperative school board members from being elected at large. I want to let you folks know that I wrote in my capacity as chair, not on behalf of the board, but as the chair, and contacted our senator and flagged it for him about how it would impact our school district and also the apportionment of seats, which you'll see the table on the backside. But I just wanted to make you all aware that I sent it. The good news is 2 days after I sent the letter, they killed the bill. And they vote on the Senate floor to kill it. And I had a very good conversation with the chair of the committee who didn't really understand cooperative school districts, but I was able to explain to him how ours operated, how it started, and how that process was. And that in fact, the town of New Durham is in his district and a member of our cooperative, which he was aware of, but he didn't realize how our district works. So he was very appreciative to have the conversation. It was informative. And I'll also say I contacted NHSBA, and they had some good conversations with the senators too. So I think that was just a good result. So I want to let you all know that I kind of did that in my capacity. I was actually really worried that the bill might pass, and I was like a little scared. So if anyone has any comments or questions, I don't want to rush through that. All right, seeing none. The next thing is we've been receiving a lot of emails from NHSBA about legislative advocacy, and I reached out to them after a lot of comments that we've had as a board about concerns with state legislation over the last 6 months. And I asked them, if our board wants to, how can our board get more involved in legislative advocacy, if that's something our board would want to do? And they offered that they could come to our board meeting and tailor legislative advocacy and plans and ways that we can work with them to improve our advocacy. And I've always been one of the board members who's kind of been more of a holdout, who hasn't wanted us to maybe comment as much, but there are some things that now will impact our district and our taxpayers too significantly, I feel, as if to be completely silent. So I'm wondering, I want to get just general advisement, I don't know if we need a vote, but for my next chairman's report, should we bring in Becky Wilson of NHSBA to kind of think about what are similar districts ours, what do they do, whether it's other districts have a committee, they said community relations committees are good, having a liaison work, even specifically NHSBA can develop a plan for highlighting bills for us to review as a board together when we want to, just specific by topic. So there's a lot of options, so I don't know if the board wants it. That's a service NHSBA offers to us, so if we want to get more involved in commentating on policies to policy committees in Concord and contacting our local officials, our state officials, I would be comfortable inviting them here, but I want to get general advisement from the board if we would like a vote for that to happen too.
I think it's a great idea. It tends to be a disconnect, sorry. Thank you. Thank you. I agree, and because a disconnect begins to happen when everybody thinks everybody's doing a great job, but conversation is welcome. So thank you.
I'd support it in like a work session like we did last year when they came up and did it. I think we can get a lot deeper in it rather than trying to put it into a schedule like this, which is already pretty full. So I'd be in support of that.
I talked to Dr. Eric Callahan, and she suggested maybe as part of, because we also have to schedule our NHSBA board member training. We do a whole board training together, that maybe it'd be two-part. Board member training, reminder for everyone about how to be good, productive board members, but a second thing where Becky Wilson talks to us about these are advocacy strategies, these are ways that services that we offer, and additionally they even have a specific sign-up where you can sign up to be part of their bench, and they'll contact you, let you know when to send letters on specific types of bills, or when to come to Concord and to speak on bills, or when to bring it to the rest of the board, when you have a topic or a bill that you want the rest of the board to discuss and to maybe endorse a letter on. So there's a lot of services they can provide us in that space that we don't utilize, and I've heard a lot from our board, and even myself have had my opinion change. It's really crazy some of the things happening down there, and I feel as if, and I hear a lot in the community now more than ever in the last few months, that people are asking, why aren't people saying something? So it makes me feel as if we're kind of the local officials who might have some credence to lay out there. Okay, so when we schedule, is it next meeting we'll try to schedule our? When we schedule our NHSBA board member training, we'll let NHSBA know that we also want a kind of like a advocacy workshop too about how they can support us and tailor an advocacy plan for us. And we should probably, Kathy, maybe reach out to Barrett and Becky this week so we can actually get something on the books before July. Because we've been late the last few years. I feel like we contact them in April, but we ought to get something scheduled for May or June rather than waiting until May and then finding dates in July when we're all trying to enjoy summer vacation. So, all right, I'll take that as good advisement, and I'll add that to we'll coordinate that as a board. All right, the next thing is I wanted to provide the board a very brief update on the health insurance exploration. So obviously there's been representative 2 from each of our collective bargaining agreements, and the board has empowered me to be exploring health insurance options for if we were to find better options for a potential change. We got a very robust presentation from Health Trust that offered more plans than we could ever imagine. But the plans just didn't quite fit, but we wanted further exploration, especially compared to cost, and we could see some of the plans offered more, better benefits potentially, some offered about comparable, with slight different, and then obviously there you have your high deductible, crazy, expensive plans, out of pocket expensive. Health Trust can't quote us though, at least what they told us accurately, until next November. So that makes the process go longer. School Care came in and gave also an excellent presentation, not as many plans, but obviously plans that we're used to. And also the addition to their orange plan that we were kind of all interested in, which had to do with a high deductible plan allowing employees maybe a choice between the yellow 2.0 in the orange high deductible plan. If they're younger, healthier, they might, providing them an HSA might be an incentive for a healthier individual to just save money over time for healthcare costs. So, and School Care's presentation was great. They showed us how much we've saved over the years with them, and also obviously recognized the assessment, but assured us that they're trying to avoid that, and that's unlikely to happen again this upcoming fiscal year. So we're planning on meeting with a broker sometime in the next few months, an insurance broker, specifically one that's been working with several school districts that are exploring leaving school care or actively. And also the brokers worked with those who have left health trusts over the last few years too, to be fair. And I'm still trying to get in contact with someone from the city of Nashua to explore self-insurance. So we got 2 other options kind of to explore, but we've met with both risk pools, and we've had really good informative discussions. So I don't know if anyone has any comments or questions, and if you do, but you just don't want to ask them tonight, feel free to email me, that's fine too.
Did you see that Dover had withdrawn?
I did see that Dover withdrew from school care, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're working with Hub, who's the broker who contacted us and wants to give us a presentation.
Okay.
So, and the last thing is we all received an email from NHSBA, calls for resolutions. So I didn't know, putting on the radar, I didn't know if we wanted to do any resolutions. We've had a lot of strong and big opinions about risk pools, so I don't know if that was a resolution we wanted to put in.
I'm working on one.
You're working on one? You want to work on one too?
Well, I have something that I can send. I just don't know if it's a good idea.
If folks have ideas for resolutions, if they want help from me, I'd be happy to provide guidance. Or 2, you want to bring it to the board, I can add that to the next board meeting agenda. I want to bring forward a resolution for the board's consideration, maybe submit to the School Boards Association on risk pools. So
Is there, how many resolutions can we, only one?
we can submit as many as we want, but I would say we should not be too crazy with it. Barrett might get upset if we have like 10.
Well, you might look at mine and be like, no. So.
Okay, so folks have ideas so I'll put that on my next chairperson's report. We'll discuss potentially, what resolutions we want to submit, especially if it's a service we get to, and if NHSBA has a position that we strongly believe they should adopt, we should present it to the membership for their consideration, so. All right, and that doesn't conclude my report, that's just my correspondence. Next is school board meeting calendar. So these are our meeting dates for next school year. So starting at the Brookfield meeting August 10th. So this is pretty standard, what we usually when we meet. So I don't know if folks have any comments or they think it should for some reason change.
I do have a question. Why are some of them on the 2nd?
Holidays?
Is it just holidays?
Holidays, yeah.
Or August is too early? We won't have.
Yeah. So August, if we did it the first Monday, the administration wouldn't have enough stuff for us to even act on, just based on the timeline of when we act on stuff statutorily. 14th, I think, has to do with Labor Day. Is really late this year, and we're not going to meet on Labor Day. And the 8th, traditionally, we've always met the Monday before the local election, so I imagine the local elections will be March 9th. Do you want to make a motion first and then ask a question?
Oh, sure.
That can be the trade-off.
I move that we accept the schedule for the school board.
I'll second.
All right. Motion by Mary, seconded by Kirsten. Yes. Go right ahead.
So, in keeping with the access and, I'm sorry.
For me.
No,
Is this
go
for
ahead.
me?
No, you have a question, right?
Yes, I do.
She's going to answer probably.
Thank you. So I see that the Finance Committee meeting is at the Crescent Lake. In keeping with the access and opportunity and removing barriers, is it possible that the Finance Committee meeting?
I'm sorry.
What?
I was making noise in the paper. I'm sorry.
sorry, easily distracted here, that we meet somewhere else, another school, community.
Certainly, you can vote on that tonight. You could also vote on that anytime before then. Are there barriers that we should be aware of to Crescent Lake in particular?
It's not so much a barrier to Crescent Lake, other than it's opening up the other schools,
Oh,
communities.
for finance.
To meet
Sure.
there at another school.
Yeah.
Just an
We
idea.
absolutely can.
So are you asking to have like a rotation of finance committee meetings around the district?
I am suggesting that by branching out to other school communities, we are addressing the, whatever number 4 was on your 5, what was it? It's the access and opportunity, and removing barriers to community people to attend.
I understand, but needs to be a little bit more direct. What are you asking us to like finance meeting on one night at one school, another night at another school?
Keep it all at one school, but
Keep it all at one school. Okay.
something to consider.
Put it in different places every year,
I haven't even thought that far. I was just thinking this
Okay,
calendar year.
that's
I could give you feedback on that based on the number of questions. I think Effingham would be the first place we should have it.
Oh, I give Effingham their own personal presentation each year, and Brookfield too. There are our member towns that love their own personal presentation usually, and I think that's usually the best way to go about it is for board members from each town to contact their board of selectmen and say, hey, I as a board member from the who represents a seat designated to this town with the chair are willing to come and give a presentation on the budget, which I found the towns that have utilized that, it has been really useful. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Effingham this year even supported the budget. One sec. I'm going back. Oh, let's see. Article 2. 150 yes, 103 no. Effingham supported the budget. It passed in every town, and this was the first year I was able to give a pretty.
5,000 extra, 1,500 extra.
Now that might have been because they didn't want to vote for the default budget because it appropriated more money, but I still gave a presentation there for the first time ever, and it passed. So I don't know, maybe.
I think it was this year. Yeah.
So I've never seen anything pass in Effingham, and a few things did.
So back to my suggestion.
Yeah, thanks.
The point to have it here is to keep it central.
My suggestion is to consider a location for the finance committee meetings to be other than Wolfeboro.
Okay, so you want to do it in other.
I'll second that.
Yeah, you go ahead, Kirsten. I do have a comment about that though.
I just want to know how far of a drive is it from New Durham over?
I've done it, it's like 55 minutes.
I mean, it was only an hour and a half to get here today from us.
It is kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I
to
think
go
that
up
this
there
is a nice
in
central area of our district. But
Um,
I get what you're saying.
And I hear that as well. I look at the number of community members who attend.
But you could do something like Ossipee, which was closer to Effingham, right, or New Durham, right? Like I support it.
I think part of why I wouldn't support it is because one, I think it's best for us to take the initiative and reach out and do it at a public meeting that people in those towns will be more likely to attend. They know when their select board meetings happen. But also too, I think a key benefit, while it'd be great if we had a location, maybe even like the Carroll County Courthouse that's even a little bit more like central, but when you start to get too far away from New Durham or too far away from Effingham, you're talking an hour for some of those residents in those towns. And like the benefit to Crescent Lake is at least it's no more than 35 minutes from the farthest outreaches of our district. So that is the plus and the minus of it.
The other, sorry.
No,
The other plus is that people, if you have it at the school, people and community members can come into the schools, right? Because that's the best thing about having meetings in the schools. Like, I'm opposed to having it at a different location. Like, having this, it's great that we go to the selectmen's meeting, but getting people and community members into the school is, I think, the biggest,
That's a
biggest
very
plus.
good point.
But
I'd like to,
If you have a school.
like
If
to
you have
suggest
someone.
that,
I can't help it.
I'd like to suggest that we do it in one of the buildings here in Wolfeboro where we can live stream it. And that way, the largest number of people possible would be able to see it.
I'd just say that if there was an interest in exploring greater access, physical access to the finance meetings, I would recommend you try it out by moving night 3 to a second location. I feel like night 3 is a summation night, and that people get like a really good sense of the discussions that have happened prior. You could test it by putting it somewhere else on just the 3rd night. But that's just my sense. I'll also say that New Durham gets the preliminary adoption that following month, and I don't know if I would go to Effingham if the forecast looked sketchy. I'm not sure I would do that drive in November. Just saying.
My comment is, I don't think there's no magic bullet for this one. And I think we've chosen Crescent Lake because it's the most imperfect option aside from all the others, right? So it's not the best way we'd want to solve the problem, but all the other solutions are they have, I think, even more significant downfalls. I've never been opposed to exploring something more. I will say, I know the Wolfeboro Great Hall, it's unlikely it'll be available on a Thursday. So that's a downside too. Now, the Arts Center will be available, likely, but you're like a stone's throw from Crescent Lake.
I just wanted to second Tom's comment about the live stream. I think that's a really great idea if we can swing it.
Can only live stream from the Arts Center and Great Hall. In the studio.
We can't do a finance committee meeting in the studio.
Too small.
Yeah,
But
it's
I would
just-
have to explore that. It may be that we have the technology now.
What if we approve this tonight as is, but I will add it to the next meeting agenda to discuss finance committee meeting placement location? 'Cause I don't think we're gonna solve this tonight, but maybe if we all have some time to think about it on our own some, then we'll solve it then. There's one of us, maybe, I think, I hope. All right, any further discussion on the meeting dates or locations? No? All right, Kathy, if you could call the roll, please.
Tom?
Yes.
Kirsten?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Dr. Jim?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Dr. Beth?
Yes.
Danielle?
Yes.
Nate?
Yes.
Birdie?
Aye. Okay. That concludes my report, and we'll move on to committee reports versus academic affairs. Academic updates.
Thank you. Can I just be reminded procedurally, am I asking for votes to move these to second read, or we don't need to? So I'm just
First
presenting
read.
them, and there's an opportunity for discussion after
Yes,
each block.
and I have a
Wonderful.
comment on one.
That's great. We're going to begin with academic updates. And thank you for, I know we're all a little punchy, so sorry. Okay, so recently the Academic Affairs Committee asked Dr. Hills to give us updates on several ongoing curricular efforts across the district. So tonight I will provide you with the updates that she gave to us. We could have a short discussion if the board is interested. First of all, the Algebra 1 credit transition that's happening for 8th grade students. With the adoption of a new policy allowing middle school students to earn high school credit, we are revising the 8th grade math curriculum to fully align with Algebra 1 competencies and include key concepts such as quadratics. During the transition, which is now, students may demonstrate mastery through a competency exam to earn credit and move into geometry, while additional supports are available to help ensure readiness.
This work is designed to expand access, increase rigor, and create more equitable pathways for students. There have been a lot of questions in the community about this new opportunity. The reason that the Academic Affairs Committee changed the policy is that we wanted the opportunity for students to be able to get credit for taking what was effectively an Algebra 1 class in the 8th grade when they moved into the high school. We'll come back to all of it at the end. I'm sure you have comments. Secondly, competency-based grading. Since September, we have been working with the high school faculty to support the transition to competency-based grading and teaching, including developing common rubrics, proficiency scales, and aligned work habits tied to our portrait of a learner. We have also gathered feedback from staff and students, reviewed practices from other districts, and begun professional learning in universal design for learning to support all learners. Next steps include exploring a hybrid grading model to thoughtfully transition from traditional 0 to 100 scale to a more competency-aligned system. AC Affairs had a robust community discussion around this subject earlier in the year, and so the work is continuing. Science. I asked about this one. It says, our ongoing work in science has focused on strengthening the alignment between assessments and the rigor of state standards, particularly in grades K through 6, where revisions are underway through the Science Task Force. We are also supporting students in becoming more familiar with the SAS science assessment format, which presents both content and reading challenges. At the state level, discussions are underway to better align the assessment with the courses students actually take, particularly regarding the role of Earth and space science, which may lead to future changes in the assessment structure. So there's been some complaints that the tests actually are more like a reading exam, and that it's very difficult for students to parse the questions. We have in our proficiency scores in the presentation that was given here earlier in the year, our proficiency scores in the district are low, and the Academic Affairs Committee wanted more information about what was being done to help boost student opportunities for success. Okay, finally, personal finance. Personal finance has been a graduation requirement since 2023 to 2024 at the state level. And despite initial confusion at the state level, the high school has proactively ensured students receive meaningful financial literacy instruction by offering it as a standalone course. As part of upcoming program changes, we will separate civics and economics and develop a new economics and financial literacy course scheduled to begin in 27-28, with planning work taking place next year. In the meantime, students may meet the requirement through completing the personal finance course or by demonstrating proficiency on a competency assessment, ensuring flexibility while maintaining strong expectations for all learners. We will be updating district policy to ensure alignment with KRHS programming and state requirements. It was pointed out to us that there was a policy misalignment with the expectations in the school catalog, and so we're working at the committee level to work on the policy issue, and the district administrators are working on aligning the curriculum. Any discussion?
Good updates. Don't all jump.
Okay, seeing none. We'll move on to policies. Tonight I have for you for first read. We will move through each section as a block. We will begin with recommended for adoption. The policies are EBBCA, use and location of automatic external defibrillators, and GBEBB, employee-student relations. Any discussion? Seeing none, those policies will move forward to second read. In our recommended for reaffirmation block, we have the following policies. EB, Workplace Safety Program and Joint Loss Management Committee. EBBD, Indoor Air Quality and Water Quality. EBCD, Emergency School and District Closings. EHAC, Electronic Digital Records and Signatures. EHB, Data Records and Retention. FF, Naming of district buildings and facilities and dedication of areas. This was a fun discussion. Thank you, committee. GBEF, School District Internet Access for staff and volunteers, and GBGA, Staff Health. Any discussion? That block will move to second read. Next, we have policies for revision. They are DIE, morbidly named, Annual Audit Review. EBCD, Communicable and Infectious Diseases. Maybe that one should be DA. I don't know. EHAB, Data Governance and Security. IC, School Years. IHCD, Advanced College Placement, Adult Education. IJAA, Reconsideration of Books and or other materials. IJL, Selection of Library Materials. JCA, Change of School or Assignment, Best Interest Manifest Hardship, Manifest Status Hardship. Sorry. JICK, Pupil Safety and Violence Prevention. JLCJA, Emergency Plan for Sports-Related Injuries and Additional Protocols for Athletic Participation. LEB, Advanced Coursework, Advanced Placement Courses, STEM Dual and Concurrent Enrollment Program. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
DIE.
Morbidly named.
This is the annual audit review.
Yes.
I see in the annual audit review policy, the board is the one who's now going to hire a certified public accountant as the auditor after hearing recommendations from the superintendent or business administrator.
Tom, do you want to speak to this one?
Yeah, why do we want the board to be the one who, we don't hire, we contract with a certified auditor, we don't have an auditor on staff, so why would we, I assume hire is meant to imply contract, why are we the ones who would choose the auditor?
Because that's what the state law says.
That's not what the statute says.
Okay, give me what the statute says.
So first off, RSA 197:25, auditors, that's the applicable statute. My understanding is that we approve in a line item funding to contract with an auditor, and we've empowered our business admin and our superintendent to be the one who executes the contract and to hire an auditor who then comes up with a report, which is on file, which is also submitted into our annual report every year with a summary letter. So I'm not sure if RSA 28-J:19, Roman 1 or Roman 2 have been updated to change that for political subdivisions. But I'm not opposed to the finance committee reviewing the audit, but I've never heard of a school district where the board publicly is reviewing, you know, who the auditor is going to be, or, I mean, I guess if you have an on-staff auditor who's the head of an auditing department, maybe you hire a certified public accountant as the auditor. I will also point out the cross-reference is 671:5, school district elections auditors. That's only applicable if we elect an auditor, which is a local option, but I don't know of any school districts that have permitted, where their legislative body has permitted the auditor. So, and I also don't know what qualifications we have to be able to choose the best certified public accountant as an auditor of our school district. I know a fair amount of things about how the school district operates, but I'm not sure how I would be able to make the best determination of who the best auditor is. Obviously, I would defer probably to Kathy Oblinis, who works with, probably we've had the same auditor for years. So I'm just trying to understand what is the goal here and how is this improving district operations?
Well, it's following the statute of 28J:19, 1 and 2. I would say that what it's accomplishing as far as having the board hire upon the recommendation of the superintendent and the business manager, an auditor, that the auditor is going to be someone who's independent. And if we've had the same auditor for years and years and years, we could choose a different auditor. And also there was a question as to what had to be posted in the annual report, what had to be reported to the school board. And so that's what I was looking into, and that's how I came upon 28J:19, 1 and 2. And I laid those out so that there's no question. That's what the statute requires.
So, Tom, I pulled up the statute, if I may.
Okay.
It's 28, there is no 28-J, because that's the county's section of applicable chapters of law. It's 21-J:19.
Okay.
And it says that so here's Roman 1, any school or any town or school district or village district or precinct at the annual meeting or at a special meeting, or the selectmen of any town or governing body of any city or school boards, that would be us, of any school district, or commissioners of any village district or precinct may hire a certified public accountant or certified accountant licensed in the state under RSA 309-A:8 to conduct such audit within 1 year after the close of the municipality's fiscal year in accordance with the audit guidelines and applicable statutes. So I see it says that we may hire an auditor.
Or you may use elected auditors.
But may.
May is optional. It's not a shall.
You can do either one, Brody. You can have elected auditors, you can have professional auditors.
But 21-J:19 is only applicable to as if you may hire an auditor. And then the second says that every audit it says that it needs to be made, and it's an independent one, and it basically has all the requirements. Contracts executed between the local units of government and counties and independent public accountants shall stipulate that all accounts, funds. So I feel as if that makes sense. It seems like the audits that are made under, this is under DRA Municipal Property Division 21-J:19 audits. I would like to have DRA weigh in. So I would like first to have the right statute references, 21-J, but I'd like to have DRA weigh in, considering that this is their chapter of law, and to give us their interpretation of what we should be doing because none of this language is recommended from NHSBA. So I feel like it would make sense for DRA to maybe provide us some advisement for what does this statute mean, and us as a school district, what is our role as part of it? Is this an optional statute because it says may, or are there other aspects to this?
I think the requirement is you have to audit your books annually.
That I know because we're a school district, which is a separate statute from 21-J. That's in the school district statutes 195.
If I may, I just wanted to point out that in the NHSBA recommended policy, it does say the board shall select the auditors after hearing the recommendation from the superintendent. So I'm not refuting your interest in hearing from DRA, or I think, of course, we should have the appropriate statute noted in the policy, but in the sample, it does say the board shall select. So I don't think that's ambiguous. And if you'd like clarification, maybe we could speak to SBA about why that's the chosen language.
Can I ask for clarification on why didn't we just use NHSBA's recommended language? Because if that was the case, I would have just said, yes, I trust NHSBA because they have 3 attorneys on staff who vet all the policies.
I don't think and I'm just going to say this off the cuff, I don't think they've updated it for decades. And 2024, okay.
Yeah, it says August 1st, 2024.
All right, my mistake, I said off the cuff.
Okay, no, that's okay.
This really stemmed, Rhodey, from, do we put a letter that from the auditors updating us that the audited material has been gathered, or do we put the actual audit summary in? And that's the research that I started, and that's what led me to this.
So, and thank you for that, Tom. I agree with you that the letter should be the final letter for the auditor's findings, but this has seemed to morph into bigger than just ensuring that the finance committee is reviewing the final audit and the recommendations, and that all that proper information gets placed in the annual report. To me, that seems to have a clear objective for increasing operational efficiency, clarity, transparency, that it's improving our understanding of what we're being asked, what our district's being asked to do for the audit. But with this language in front of us, I don't see how it's benefiting our operations as a board, the administration's time, and ultimately better serving our student population. And that's where my concerns raises. Are we updating a policy? Arguably, what's in red isn't even applicable because there is no RSA 28-J, although I understand the intent. But
I think we did correct it in committee.
okay, and I can understand that too, but it seems like we're doing a lot more than what's required by statute, and I question if it's helping us.
I just want to
Yeah, no,
address
sorry.
not what you've just said, but your prior question as to why was the NHSBA sample not followed to the letter. And I think that this policy in our policy book was extremely divergent from the SBA sample when it was reviewed. And so the committee, in an iterative process, looked at the sample, and also Tom really took a strong lead on this and did a lot of work to think about how he can increase transparency in the auditing process within the district. So if you want to know why it happened this way, I just wanted to give you that background.
I want to speak to the reality of what actually is going to happen. In the state of New Hampshire, there are 4, I believe, might be a 5th now, but 4 auditing firms. We have the #1 auditing firm working with us. I can say that now because he's fully retired and I don't have to worry about a conflict of interest because he's my brother-in-law. But the reality is you've got the #1 auditing group. And since you have it, I'm not exactly sure what's going to benefit us. The thing is you might not get in with some of the others because the thing is they may say it's not in their interest. They're already way over capacity. And Bob's firm, which is Vashon Kluke and Company, and I'll be right up there with the name. Bob's firm is probably the most reasonable price one. Because the others want to do Manchester and Nashua. They don't want the smaller districts. That doesn't help them.
The statute, which you're right, Brody, is 21-J:19 audit, doesn't actually require an auditor. It requires a public accountant licensed, a certified public accountant, or a public accountant licensed by the state under RSA 309-A:8 to conduct such an audit. And the crux of the thing isn't, whether we have the best auditing group or not. This certainly gives us options, more than we knew about before, if we choose to take advantage of them. But these options are laid out now in our policy manual so that it's easy to find and apply. And I think that probably Kathy O and the superintendent will probably do the same thing that they normally do, is say, we like this person, and we'll say, okay. As far as us approving the auditor, and I say this again, it's not about this administration, it's about future administrations. It's like Claremont. We don't want to be in the position of Claremont. And during the legislative hearing on Claremont, where they were looking for more money, the legislators asked, well, where was the school board? And they said, well, like so many, they relied and gave too much deference to the administration. And I don't want this board to be in that situation, 10 years down the line. So once again, it's not about this particular administration. It's about giving the tools to future administrations.
So, I just have 2 comments. My 2 final comments. I don't see this as giving us necessarily tools because we already have the authority. If for some reason we disagreed with who Kathy O was hiring as an auditor, we could tell the administration no. I view this as adding new requirements. Now, some new requirements here, like for example, a written or printed report of every completed audit shall be made to the superintendent and school board, including a summary of the findings and recommendations of the auditors and a copy of such. So my understanding is we're already receiving that stuff. So that's not too onerous. The Finance Committee shall review the annual audit. I don't have a problem with that. It's this idea of the hiring process and what I think is an enabling statute, RSA 21-J:19, versus us requiring us to have to abide by that statute when the current process has worked It's been operationally beneficial and it's added transparency, but it'll also add, as part of our policy-making process, as part of our procedures, we usually recommend adhering as close to near as we can, as reasonably possible to meet our district's needs, NHSBA's reviewed, drafted, and vetted policies. And I would almost prefer staying closer to that like we do with every other policy that's recommended or required. And again, this is just a recommended policy, not required policy, but I would say we should have a policy for annual audit. We should have some form of information on that audit in our annual report, which I believe is required by state statute. And we should be having the Finance Committee review and providing a report.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the NHSBA policy, if I'm mistaken, I think it addresses some of those things.
It does not address the issue of the Finance Committee reviewing the audit.
So the last paragraph here, we could just tack on to the NHSBA.
Would that satisfy you?
You know what I mean? And that would, then we'd get everything we want.
Would that satisfy you?
No.
All right.
This is what the state requires, this is the law. I'm more than willing to send a letter to the Department of Revenue. I'll send a letter down to New Hampshire School Board Association.
I'd ask that we have the superintendent do that as our board's employee. That she can email DRA.
I'm sorry, can I not contact?
I think she should act on our behalf as the board, and the board should be the one
Are you telling me
asking.
not to?
I'm not telling you not to, but I'm
Okay.
thinking if we're getting information for the board as is typical procedure, we should ask our superintendent to gather that information and put it into our meeting packets so we all receive it.
Are you concerned about both DRA and the SBA, or are you mostly concerned about DRA? Because I think it's pretty typical for board members to write to SBA if they have a question.
I think so, but I think if this is information we're all reviewing as part of the policy-making process, I think it makes sense to ask the superintendent to email NHSBA, to email DRA, and to request this information to inform us as part of our next meeting, so it's in everyone's meeting material packets.
Would you like to be copied?
Yes.
If Caroline,
And
you
I'll-
wouldn't mind if you could
Yeah,
copy
go-
Tom,
I
since
think
he's
that's
been so
fine.
involved in this process.
And I will copy back.
Thank you. Okay, so we will not make a direct revision at this time. This policy is only moving forward to second reading, can be discussed again at the next board meeting. Any other discussion about other policies in this block?
I had a question about EBCG.
EBCG.
And just so I'm clear, are the red edits, those are edits that are not NHSBA edits, but those are edits that are just the committee added?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Brody, can you tell me the
EBCG.
EB?
So the next policy.
Oh, right.
So my question is regarding the second paragraph, where we struck the term "in a joint decision with families" and replaced it with "in the instance of diseases causing suppressed immunity."
Yeah.
Why did we remove the language requiring a joint decision with families?
Because that is not aligned with the SBA sample.
Is it not?
Correct.
Okay,
Because we can
That is
deny
why.
attendance.
got it. So is the red language, is that what NHSBA recommends?
I believe it is
Okay.
aligned with the SBA policy now,
Yes.
with the red change.
That happens to be the language, the red language, the revised language is from the sample policy.
Yes.
Okay, so I would almost prefer that be in blue, because I thought, I was like, why did the committee
That's
make
up
that?
to you to talk to Kathy about.
Okay, sorry,
This one
because
is
I was like,
both.
is that a committee decision? But
Yes,
now
it was
clear-
a committee
it was a
decision
committee
to align
decision,
to the SBA policy.
which would almost seem like it should be in blue, but I get it.
It's both. It's like two
There's no
tiers of
pleasing you.
edits. It's both, so she was doing both. It's like two tiers of edits.
Yeah, I understand it's too, I just,
appreciate you
sorry.
very much.
That was my only other question of
And the
clarification.
SBA does the same thing.
Right. I just want to draw the board's attention to one of these policies, which is IJL. I think that you all received the local form that goes with that policy, which is really the thing that we are looking at revising significantly, because a hole was found in our policy net related to objectionable materials. So we have clear policy about objectionable materials in curriculum, but not in library. So now that hole has been filled and we are not pointing people to non-existent policies. Okay, any other comments about this block?
JICK.
You would like to, yes.
Thank you. This is something that caught my attention, and I know this has been looked through JICK's bullying prevention, and it's a long one. I am only concerned about the word victim. It's throughout, you know, there's the bully and then there's the victim. Going along with the restorative justice practices, my suggestion is that we move forward with modern thinking that treats bullying as a group behavior problem and not just a mean kid versus a weak kid. And that we, instead of victim, and perhaps even instead of bully, student engaging in bullying behavior, student experiencing bullying behavior.
What page is that again, Mary?
It's like the victim is throughout.
It's
yeah.
on almost every page of the
Yeah,
policy. An example is on, in section H, in number 1, protect and provide support for the victim and take corrective action for documented systematic problems related to bullying.
But in the definitions as well, and a lot of this is just terms that have been used for a while. But in the modern times now, it becomes a label. And if we're talking about restorative justice practices, I'm going to read yet another line. Both students are capable of change, but the behavior is what must stop. So I'm suggesting that we, at least victim, replace the word victim with student experiencing bullying behavior.
Could it be target?
You know, target came up as well, but that's just kind of like victim light.
I have one question. Would victim happen to be defined in state statute, and would it be required that our policy align with the state statute, even if we might not love that term?
Yeah, that's my only concern, because I, in spirit and heart, I align with you, Mary. But I am concerned that this is a legal definition that we might run afoul of something. And this policy seems to be like the soup du jour of the legislature. I think we reviewed it 3 times in the same year. So maybe we can drop a line to Will Phillips and see if that word is problematic or defined legally. That be satisfactory, and then we can come back with information.
It must be the definition. There's the RSA, but
Yeah.
it's time to evolve.
Mm.
Maybe we can advocate for changing the definition.
I would be happy for people to do that. Honestly, because this policy has changed so frequently, and because it seems like it's going to continue to potentially change, it just seems like a tricky one to mess with right now. But if we wanted to, do a proposal or something, a proposed resolution.
I think one of the dates was 2010.
Okay. Thank you.
Just throw it out there. That's it.
Thank you. Any other comments on this policy block? These policies will advance to second read. Finally, we have a block recommended for withdrawal. Those policies are EBBCF, Temporary Emergency Policy, Travel Guidance for Employees, EBCF, Pandemic, Epidemic Emergencies, KFD, Use and Location of Automatic External Defibrillators. These were all recommended for withdrawal because they are redundant or no longer necessary in the district. You have a helpful footnote on each one explaining why we're removing them. Any comments, discussions, concerns?
No.
Okay, thank you. Those will also advance to second read for withdrawal. I have okay, that concludes the academic affairs.
Thank you, Dr. Beth. So buildings and maintenance has no report. Community relations has no report. Finance, I was gonna try to schedule a meeting, but you know what, I'm gonna wait for people to give me feedback on their committees, and then So we have to schedule a meeting eventually for the audit review, so we'll place that onto the May agenda. And human resources, it wasn't really a human resources report, but I gave you a report on what I'm doing with each of the collective bargaining units to explore healthcare options. So I don't know if anyone has any comments, but there has been no meetings since we just reorganized, so there's not really much else to discuss. Yes, Dr. Jim.
I just had one thing.
No, I turn it off every time.
Turn the battery.
Well,
You gotta press it twice.
You can hold it down till the light goes on. Hey, you're go.
one thing I'd like to say about something that I think's been overlooked. There's a certain person in this room who's been a real hero for about a year now. And I think Corinne deserves our gratitude for what she's done this past year.
Thanks for suffering through this meeting.
Yeah.
She's
2
loving
years in a
it.
row, right?
Ditto.
She knows it's the late. I haven't had such a good time.
Maybe we should move this meeting to a different place. Can we move this?
That would be more excellent.
Mary, do you have a WCTV non-committee report?
I do not, but I will follow up on live recording.
For the finance committee meetings? Thank you. Next is closing activities, advanced planning. Spring recess is April 27th through May 1st, so no school. May 4th is our joint boards meeting at LRTC, and that starts at,
6:30?
it's in our packet. One sec.
School board meeting. Oh, the school board meeting at 7:30, because it's a dinner.
No, it's our joint board meeting.
Next year's is, at 6 and 7:30. Next year's is at 6 and 7:30. So I would assume this year's would be the
Okay,
same.
6 and 7:30.
Okay.
Just guess.
I think it might be a little earlier, but we have our joint boards meeting at LRTC. They give us some food, and we approve all the grants for the LRTC for the year. And then we have our regular school board meeting at Kingswood Regional Middle School. Please see GWRSD SAU49nh.gov/calendar for most current events, subject to change. And then we will end with public input, 15 minutes, 3 minutes for individuals, and let's extend it by a vote of the board. So the floor is for the public. You could state your name and town of residence, please.
Is this on? Is it on?
No.
No? How about now?
You're good.
Yes.
There we go. It's a little low. Sorry. Representative Bobby Benman. Here as a representative, not a citizen this evening. There are a few things I wanted to discuss. One is you obviously heard tonight about the Title I funds not being funded for Ossipee and for Effingham. Earlier in the room, Representative Brian Taylor was also here, who represents Effingham, but he did have to leave. This is putting quite a burden on both of those districts, both of those towns in Effingham and Ossipee. Ossipee is going to bear a little bit more of the brunt, and hats off, I think that we need to applaud Justin, who is the recreation director up there in Ossipee, and the town for stepping in. They did open up their summer program, and within 1 hour, the summer program filled up. So they have agreed to add another employee, and they have opened it up. Effingham actively buys into Ossipee with $30,000 a year to be able to recreate over there. However, the program does cost $75 a student, a child, for the week. And I'm hoping that this board would consider for those students who have always traditionally been able, and our Title I students who have been able to have summer school, to be able to possibly scholarship them in to the program, to consider finding some funding. I know it's not the full $27,000, but if there is some money to move that funding over to help scholarship some of the students, it really will be helpful for those communities to have that. That's number one. Number two, I really do hope that you all put on your calendars for April 15th to attend the select board meeting here in Wolfeboro. They will be discussing a school zone in front of Carpenter School. After all these years, we are moving forward with that. Obviously, it is a little cheaper to do static signs, meaning it won't blink with the lowering, reminding people to lower. But traditionally, as we know, we've had to have a crossing guard out there, which is equally as costly every year, as we know. Actually, our crossing guard was here earlier this evening too. So that is going to be on April 15th. Those select board meetings start at 6:30 at our town hall right next door. That is very important for our community, and the town does decide. The state has stated they're approving it. Steve Randall, who is our director of Public Works here, he has already started the application, and it will be in the packet for that April 15th. The other thing, Brody, I just wanted to say, I did walk up to you and say I think you should re-vote on your decision. RSA Chapter 42:1 requires the oath, and RSA 92:2 make sure that the oath is taken before any member takes a vote. You had 4 members who were not official who voted on restructuring the board. You might just want to, before you leave tonight, do that in public and retake those votes, because they were not officially sworn in before you redid your thing. Number 4 on this list is I applaud you for advocacy last year upstairs. I actually stood here and asked for you to have an advocacy committee to reach out to the state for some of these state bills that are happening that are detrimental to our school district. And then the last one that citizens have reached out to me on is there are citizens who have been very concerned about our warrant article last year, and now that we just voted it again for the $250,000, they feel that they don't know how to access those funds easily to be able to take advantage of having more school lunches to get to more children. So that is an issue that I'm being reached out to over. And that's it. Thank you.
Is there any other public input? I don't think so. All right, seeing no further public input, I will close the public input. And I will ask for a motion to enter into non-public in accordance with RSA 91-A:3 Roman 2 for student, legal, and personnel matters.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Nate Williams, seconded by Kirsten Burke. Kathy, if you could call the roll, please.
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Kirsten? Yes. Dana? Yes. Dr. Jim?
Yes.
Mary? Yes. Dr. Beth? Yes. Danielle? Yes. Nate?
Yes.
Brody?
Aye. We are in non-public. Are we staying here?